Chapter 46-44. Lu Ming directly charged out. He was afraid that if he stayed in the crowd, he would implicate Tang Jun and the others. His opponent was an Origin Realm expert. Once he launched an attack, it would be extremely terrifying. Those below Origin Realm would not be able to block it. At that time, not only would he be in danger, but Tang Jun and the others would be in danger as well. He did not want to implicate others. After Lu Ming charged out, he directly charged towards the basin in front of him. Lu Ming, how dare you kill Tian Shou? I want you to pay with your life. Yiling Lu roared furiously as he charged out. His arm was like a sword as he slashed down. A sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. This was an attack from an Origin Realm expert filled with killing intent. Its power was unimaginable. Lu Ming felt that the space around him had solidified. He could not move his body at all. It was difficult for him to even lift his arm. There was only one outcome for him. He would be killed by this attack. It's over. Lu Ming is finished. At this moment, whether it was the people of Heaven Destroyer or the people of the Heavenly Palace, this was the only thought in their minds. Lu Ming definitely could not block Yiling Ganliu's attack. Only death awaited him. Lu Ming, Tang Jun roared. He wanted to rush over to save him, but it was too late. He clearly could not make it in time. At this moment, Tang Jun's face was deathly pale. If Lu Ming was killed in front of her, how would she explain it to Xian Yanqing? At this moment, Lu Ming's pupils rapidly contracted. He felt great terror. He had a feeling that no matter how profound the forbidden body was or how tenacious its life force was, it would still die under this attack. This attack could annihilate all of his cells. The attack of an Origin Realm expert was just too terrifying. It was not something a divine lord could compare to. Fortunately, Lu Ming was already prepared. He was not scared stiff. As soon as he dashed out, his spiritual sense had already activated within the ancient desolation ring and opened the bronze chest. At this moment, with a thought from Shao Chen, the sovereign personage arm in the great desolate ring silently merged into his right arm without anyone noticing. Even Yiling Lu didn't notice it. Boom! After fusing with the human king's arm, Lu Ming's body erupted with an incomparably terrifying aura. This aura directly blew away Yiling Lu's lock, allowing Lu Ming to regain his freedom. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming punched out with all his might. Boom! In the next moment, Lu Ming's fist collided with Yiling Ganliu's sword light. A heaven-shaking explosion erupted, and an incomparably terrifying force swept out in all directions. The sea water violently surged, and the ground below constantly exploded. Not good, retreat. In the surroundings, the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace's people's expressions changed drastically. They frantically retreated because they felt that the force sweeping over was too terrifying. Several hundred figures retreated, but a portion of those with weaker cultivations and slower reactions were swept by the force. They vomited large mouthfuls of blood and suffered heavy injuries. And this was the result of them retreating in time. If they had been any closer, they would definitely have died. They would have been torn apart by the terrifying force. So strong. Right now, there was only one thought in Lu Ming's mind. He felt that Yiling Ganliu's swordlight contained an incomparably terrifying force. Moreover, this force surged towards him in wave after wave, making him feel like he was facing an entire universe. Lu Ming's body shook violently. His body was like a meteor as he smashed down. Boom! Lu Ming landed in the basin and there was a violent tremor. Gravel flew everywhere. With Lu Ming as the center, there were many small cracks on the ground. Lu Ming felt a sweet taste in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, that was all. The majority of the force had been blocked by the human king's arm. This scene stunned everyone at the scene. Everyone stared at Lu Ming with their mouths agape. It took quite a while for them to react and erupt into an uproar. What? Lu Ming blocked it? He can actually block Lord Empyrean's attack? How is this possible? How is this possible? The Heavenly Palace's people roared in disbelief. The members of the Sky Exterminating Troop were not any better. They were extremely shocked. In particular, Tang Jun, Mo Chong, Feng Yaoli, and the others felt it even more intensely. Tang Jun, Mo Chong, and Ronggong knew that Lu Ming was very strong. When he erupted with his full strength, he could kill a 9th-layer Divine Lord. Even the twins' powerful joint attack had been broken by Lu Ming. However, The strength that Lu Ming had just displayed had far exceeded their expectations. Being able to kill a 9th-layer Divine Lord and blocking the attack of an Origin Realm expert were two completely different things. Being able to block the attack of an Origin Realm expert and only spit out a mouthful of blood meant that he also possessed the offensive power of an Origin Realm expert. Lu Ming actually possessed the battle prowess of an Origin Realm expert? How was this possible? Lu Ming was only a 5th-layer Divine Lord. It seemed that they had greatly underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming had countless trump cards on him. It was impossible to gauge Lu Ming's strength. Feng Yaoli and the others in his team flushed red. When they had first met Lu Ming, they had looked down on Lu Ming. Now that they thought about it, their faces flushed red. Yiling Ganlu was also stunned. He had never thought that Lu Ming would be able to block his attack. He found it inconceivable. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. The aura that Lu Ming had given off earlier had made him feel fear. It was like the feeling of a subordinate facing a superior. This kid must have some heaven-defying treasure that can allow a 5th-layer Divine Lord to barely reach the Origin Realm. If such a treasure were to land in my hands, just how much would it increase my battle prowess? Yiling Ganlia's eyes burned with desire when he thought up to there. He had to kill Lu Ming, whether it was to avenge Yiling Tianshou or for himself. Boom! Yiling Ganlu took a step forward and a powerful aura surged toward Lu Ming. It was even more powerful and terrifying than before. He hadn't used his full strength earlier. After all, just who would use their full strength to kill a 5th-layer Divine Master if a reciprocity expert tried to do so? Now, Yiling Ganlu had unleashed his full strength. It's over. Lu Ming's face was bitter. He knew his own strength. Although he had blocked Yiling Ganlia's attack, the Human King's arm had drained most of his strength. He could only use one more attack with his full strength. However, this attack was completely useless. Yiling Ganlu hadn't used his full strength earlier. Now that he was using his full strength, even the Human King's arm wouldn't be able to block it. Even if he could block it, he wouldn't have any more trump cards to resist after this attack. As expected, Lu Ming was still far too weak against an Origin Realm expert. Even if he used all his trump cards, it would be useless. Lu Ming felt despair. This was the first time he had truly clashed with an Origin Realm expert. Only after personally fighting did he truly understand the terror of an Origin Realm expert. Their battle prowess far exceeded that of a Divine Lord. Chapter 46-45. Lu Ming still had a trump card, which was the purple copper coffin. However, the purple copper coffin could not be opened at all. If he could open the purple copper coffin, at least a primitive divine spirit of the overgod level would come out and be able to fight against the opponent. However, there was no use for it now. I can only try my best. I won't give up until the last moment. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. However, at this moment, not far from Lu Ming, a huge bug suddenly stood up. This bug was the last one that he had killed before, the mantis-like bug. Previously, this bug had gone through a fierce battle and was heavily injured. After swallowing its opponent's head, it fell to the ground and could not get up. Everyone thought that the insect had died from its injuries. They did not expect it to stand up again. Furthermore, its injuries were completely healed. Moreover, the aura that this bug emitted was much more terrifying than before. It had evolved. Lu Ming's first thought was that this bug had evolved and was even more terrifying than before. Previously, Lu Ming had crashed into the basin and was not far from this bug. At this moment, this bug's two huge eyes were staring at Lu Ming, flashing with blood-red light. That was a blatant murderous intent. What bad luck! Lu Ming wailed in his heart. Yiling Ganlu alone was enough to kill him. He did not expect that another terrifying bug would come. He was simply at his wit's end. However, this bug did not attack immediately. After looking at Lu Ming for a while, it turned its eyes to Yiling Ganlu. After seeing Yiling Ganlu, the bug's eyes were filled with even more intense murderous intent. Being stared at by this bug, Yiling Ganlu's body could not help but stop, showing a hint of vigilance. This was because this bug made him feel a little pressured. The mantis-like bug's eyes moved back and forth between Lu Ming and Yiling Ganlu. Lu Ming's hair stood on end and his muscles tensed up. He was ready to fight or escape at any time. But in the end, good luck fell on Lu Ming's head. The mantis finally locked onto Yiling Ganlu and screeched. Its gigantic body shot forward like a crimson bolt of lightning, breaking through the blood-colored water and heading straight for Yiling Ganlu. Its two front claws were even sharper than divine sabers. "Bastard, you're courting death!" Yiling Ganlu roared. His arm was like a sword, slashing out continuously. He fought against the mantis bug. Both sides were extremely fast. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows. In the end, Yiling Ganlu gained the upper hand and forced the mantis to retreat. However, the mantis bug's entire body was covered with a thick carapace, which was incomparably hard. Several swordlights slashed the mantis bug's carapace, but only left a few marks and did not break it. "Go!" Lu Ming's figure flashed as he quickly retreated. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they didn't leave now, when would they? He could tell that although the mantis insect had killed the other insects and evolved, its battle prowess had only reached reciprocity. It was not Yiling Ganliu's opponent. Once Yiling Ganlu dealt with the mantis bug, he wouldn't be able to leave even if he wanted to. "Lu Ming, you want to leave? Dream on." Dang. Seeing Lu Ming trying to leave, Yiling Ganlu roared. His forehead glowed and a battle sword flew out. "Not good. It's an source-level weapon." Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. Yiling Ganlu reached out and grabbed the source-grade divine weapon in his hand. Boom! With the infusion of origin energy, the source-level weapon awakened and Yiling Ganliu's battle prowess rose to the peak. Whoosh! 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 In an instant, hundreds of sword lights shot out, breaking through the mantis bug's defense and bombarding its body. Although the thick carapace was extremely hard, it couldn't stop the source-level weapon. It was torn apart and scarlet blood flowed out. The huge body of the mantis bug directly smashed into the basin, and it was smashed in the direction of Lu Ming. Obviously, this was Yiling Ganliu's intention to smash the mantis bug towards Lu Ming. All of this happened too quickly in an instant. Even though Lu Ming started to retreat, he didn't go far. He was still in the basin's domain. Facing the incoming mantis bug, Lu Ming raised his speed to the extreme and used the greater aurora art to move to the side. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved tens of thousands of meters away. Then with a boom, the mantis bug heavily smashed into the ground. The force was several times stronger than when Lu Ming had smashed into the ground. The earth rumbled, and with the mantis bug as the core, the ground kept exploding. Thick cracks spread out. It wasn't over yet. Yiling Ganliu's power erupted. The source-level weapon in his hand turned into a bolt of lightning and flew towards the mantis bug. With a swoosh, the source-level weapon pierced through the mantis bug's head and nailed it to the ground. The sword stabbed into the ground, and a terrifying destructive force erupted, causing the ground to explode even more violently. Rumble! Huge fissures formed, and a dense blood-red mist rushed out from the fissures. This is, Lu Ming's pupils shrank. The basins underground seemed to be empty. After being bombarded by their powerful attacks one after another, the ground was penetrated. Boom! 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 The ground continued to explode, and the rocks shattered into small pieces and fell down. Dense blood-colored light spread out from below. Lu Ming looked down. As expected, it was empty. The entire bottom of the basin was empty. And at this time, the human king's arm within the chaos ring was shaking even more violently. Could it be that the human king's other body parts are below? Lu Ming's heart shook. That was very likely. Yiling Ganlu frowned. He looked down and made a grabbing motion in the air. The source-level divine weapon returned to his hand. As for the mantis bug, it had already been killed. Its corpse fell down along with the rocks. Kill! Yiling Ganlu snorted coldly. He held the combat sword in his hand and slashed toward Lu Ming. The terrifying swordlight caused Lu Ming's heart to turn cold. Lu Ming didn't hesitate. He directly charged down, using the scattered rocks to block Yiling Ganliu's swordlight. Yiling Ganliu's swordlight slashed at the scattered rocks. Those rocks exploded, but the swordlight didn't stop. It rapidly approached Lu Ming, as if it had locked onto Lu Ming. Lu Ming was unable to dodge. Block. Seeing that he couldn't dodge, Lu Ming could only block. He poured all his remaining energy into the human king's arm, stimulating its power, and punched out. Boom! The two clashed a second time. Lu Ming vomited a large mouthful of blood, and his body fell down like a bolt of lightning. Fortunately, when Yiling Ganliu's swordlight reached Lu Ming, it was blocked by many rocks, and a portion of its power was offset. Otherwise, Lu Ming might not have been able to block it. Chapter 46-46. Yiling Ganliu's attack had been unleashed with his soul-grade divine weapon. It was much stronger than when he had used his arm to attack Lu Ming. Even with his human king's arm, Lu Ming still wouldn't be able to block it. But thanks to the obstruction of the many rocks, Lu Ming was able to block it. However, his injuries were even more serious than before. Lu Ming's figure rapidly descended. Right now, he could only hope that there would be a turn for the better. Humph. Let's see how many of my moves you can block. Yiling Ganlu snorted coldly. He also rushed down and chased after Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had descended several thousand miles. Suddenly, Lu Ming's pupils shrank. He saw that there was a blood coffin down below. The blood coffin seemed to be made of a special kind of rock. It was completely blood red. But now, cracks had appeared on the blood coffin, covering the entire blood coffin. A powerful energy was coming out of the blood coffin. The human king's arm in Lu Ming's right arm began to heat up. It was constantly twitching, as if it wanted to break free from Lu Ming's arm and fly out. It's here. The other parts of the human king's body are in this blood coffin. But how do I get them? Do I have to open this blood coffin? Lu Ming's mind raced. But he didn't have much energy left. He probably couldn't open it even if he wanted to. Crack. Something seemed to want to charge out of the blood coffin. It constantly attacked the blood coffin, causing more and more cracks to appear. At this time, Yiling Ganlu also approached. His gaze involuntarily turned to the blood coffin. However, he only glanced at it once before looking back at Lu Ming. His killing intent was dense. Although he was very curious about the blood coffin, he had decided to first kill Lu Ming and then carefully observe it. A person like Lu Ming had profound karmic luck. He wasn't easy to deal with. As long as he wasn't killed, there was a chance something would happen. Just like before, he had only delayed for a moment and a powerful insect had suddenly appeared, allowing Lu Ming to survive. He didn't intend to give Lu Ming any chance. Not good, I have to go all out. Lu Ming was also very decisive. He knew that he couldn't escape when facing Yiling Ganlu. Only by going all out could he have a chance. This blood coffin looked very strange and might be dangerous. But danger also meant a chance. Lu Ming planned to open this blood coffin. Lu Ming, you're courting death. Yiling Ganlu also saw through Lu Ming's thoughts. He roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his sword. The terrifying sword gleam slashed toward Lu Ming at lightning speed. Lu Ming's entire body was locked in by a powerful force. His body stiffened in the air and he could not move at all. Lu Ming's mouth was bitter. He had tried his best, but it still didn't work. At this moment, he no longer had the strength to activate the human king's arm. He couldn't block the other party's attack by himself. He was unwilling to die here. If he was killed, all the treasures on him would fall into Yiling Ganliu's hands, which would strengthen the heavenly human tribe. Also, Xueqi would fall into the other party's hands. However, he had no other choice. But there was always a way out. At this moment, the human king's arm on Lu Ming's arm vibrated even more violently. It seemed to resonate with the thing in the blood coffin, causing the power of the blood coffin to be even more terrifying. Crack! Bang! The number of cracks on the blood coffin increased rapidly. Some places even exploded continuously, creating holes in the coffin. Waves of incomparably powerful energy rushed out from the blood coffin, rushing in all directions. Strong, too strong. The power rushing out of the blood coffin was simply shocking. Lu Ming felt that it was even stronger than the sword light that Yiling Ganlu had slashed at him. However, the human king's arm on his right arm automatically emitted a wave of energy that spread from his right arm to his whole body. When the energy rushed out of the blood coffin rushed to Lu Ming, it was like a breeze, causing no harm to Lu Ming. It swept past Lu Ming's body and collided with Yiling Ganliu's sword light. The two kinds of energy collided. In the end, Yiling Ganliu's sword light shook violently and collapsed, disappearing into nothingness. The terrifying energy continued to sweep toward Yiling Ganlu. Damn it! Yiling Ganlu roared. He was extremely unwilling. He had been decisive enough to directly attack Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming first, but there was still an unforeseen event. The power in the blood coffin was so terrifying that it directly shattered his sword. Even he feared this kind of power and wanted to avoid it. However, Lu Ming was completely fine, which made him furious. He was extremely unwilling. He quickly retreated, but the energy continued to rush toward him. He slashed out a few times, but he was unable to stop it. "Damn it, Lu Ming, just you wait!" Yiling Ganlu roared unwillingly, then rushed up. He rushed out of the basin before the energy from the blood coffin could reach him. Rumble! The energy from the blood coffin continued to rush in all directions, causing the earth to shake violently. There was also energy that rushed out of the basin, breaking through the clouds and spreading in all directions. What is that? So terrifying. Even Yiling Ganlu escaped just now. Retreat! Let's retreat! Even reciprocity experts can't stop them. Let's retreat! Many people roared and frantically retreated. Lu Ming, Emo Chang and the others had ugly expressions. The others shook their heads and sighed. They had all thought that Lu Ming was already dead. If Yiling Ganlu had chased after him, Lu Ming might have already been killed by him. Even if he hadn't been killed by Yiling Ganlu, the energy rushing out of the basin was so terrifying that even Yiling Ganlu wanted him to flee. However, there was no sign of Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fate was obvious. No, Lu Ming's karmic luck is too great. He definitely won't die so easily. I've seen him face many desperate situations and survive. This time is the same. Let's retreat. Tang Jun's gaze was resolute. She was very familiar with Lu Ming. She had found that Lu Ming had her father's special characteristics. His karmic luck was powerful, and he could always come back from desperate situations. In the past, he had also faced countless situations and survived in the end. This time, she also believed that Lu Ming wouldn't die. Tang Jun and the others also quickly retreated into the distance. Down in the basin, Lu Ming stood near the blood coffin, carefully observing it. More and more cracks appeared on the blood coffin, and more energy rushed out. It was becoming more and more terrifying. If it weren't for the human king's energy protecting him, Lu Ming was certain that he would have already been destroyed. Not a single cell would have been left. Is there really another part of the human king's body inside? Whispered Lu Ming, his gaze burning. Crack, crack. The blood coffin constantly cracked, and the blood-colored stones constantly exploded. A moment later, with a bang, the blood coffin completely exploded. Chapter 46-47. When the blood coffin completely exploded, an even more terrifying energy swept out. This energy swept out in all directions, causing the entire bottom of the immortal burial blood sea to tremble violently. The seawater tumbled, stirring up thousands of waves. The terrifying energy made the people of the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer retreat again and again. Even Yiling Ganlu retreated quickly, not daring to stay too close. However, this energy still did not affect Lu Ming. Lu Ming stared at the place where the blood coffin exploded with hope in his eyes, hoping that there were other parts of the human monarch's body inside. However, he was disappointed. There were no other parts of the human monarch's body in the blood coffin, only a ball of light. This ball of light was only the size of a fist at first, but in the next moment, it suddenly expanded rapidly. From the size of a fist, it quickly became the size of a basketball, and then the size of a water tank. It kept getting bigger and bigger. Lu Ming noticed that this ball of light was strangely long. It was made up of 8 halos. These 8 halos were at different angles. The 8 halos were separated by the same distance every 2 angles, dividing the entire void into 8. In the middle of the 8 halos, there seemed to be a world that was protected by the 8 halos. Therefore, from afar, the 8 halos looked like a ball of light. The speed at which the halos were growing continued and soon approached Lu Ming. It was as if a world was rapidly colliding with each other and expanding, causing a force to squeeze outwards. Lu Ming was squeezed outwards by this force and kept retreating. Fortunately, although this force was strong, it was only squeezed outwards at a certain speed and did not erupt all at once. The destructive power was not particularly fierce, and Lu Ming could still withstand it. Oh no, there seems to be a world in these 8 halos. This world is breaking free and is rapidly growing and returning to its original state. I have to leave quickly. If the expanding force of this world squeezes me onto the continent of the 1,000-year battlefield, I'm afraid I'll be squeezed to death. Thinking of this, Lu Ming no longer hesitated. He soared into the sky and rushed out of the basin. After Lu Ming rushed out of the basin, he looked around and did not see anyone else. Yiling, Ganlu, and the others seemed to have retreated far away. With a thought, Lu Ming went to the other side of the basin. Rumble! In the next moment, the ground shook violently, and cracks appeared in the basin. The cracks quickly became bigger and longer, extending into the distance. It's still colliding rapidly. This world should have been sealed in a blood coffin by someone previously and was compressed to an extremely small size. Right now, it's about to return to its original state. But this is the center of the 1,000-year battlefield. If it were to expand like this, wouldn't it be tearing apart the entire continent of the 1,000-year battlefield? Lu Ming was a little shocked. Boom! Boom! The ground rumbled and rocks exploded. Lu Ming saw that the basin had been completely torn apart. 2 huge cracks spread out from the basin. The edge of a huge halo emerged from the bottom of the basin. The entire bottom of the immortal burial blood sea was shaking violently, and the water was rolling. Not only that, the entire Thousand Autumn battlefield began to tremble. At this moment, everyone in the Thousand Autumn battlefield revealed looks of astonishment. They did not know what was going on. The ring of light expanded extremely quickly. The further it went, the faster it grew. The larger it grew, the faster it grew. In just a few breaths' time, several halos had already appeared. The ground was completely torn apart, separating into 2 sides. A continent had been torn apart from the middle, and with that as the center, the cracks were getting bigger and bigger. Let's go! Lu Ming flew rapidly into the distance. After flying for a while, Lu Ming stopped and found that the halo was still expanding rapidly. At this moment, the halo was at least 100,000 miles in diameter, but it showed no signs of stopping. The speed of expansion was even faster than before. What is that? It seems to have emerged from the basin. It's going to tear the Thousand Autumn battlefield apart. It's approaching us. Let's go. At the bottom of the immortal burial blood sea, the people of the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer were watching from afar. At this moment, they did not dare to stay and continued to retreat. Yiling Ganlu was unwilling to give up. He stared in the direction of the halo, but did not see Lu Ming's figure. What is this? Yiling Ganlu's eyes shone like stars. They seemed to be able to see through the halo and see what was inside. However, at this moment, the center of the halo was pitch black, like a black hole. Even with his eyesight at the origin realm, he could not see through it completely. He could only vaguely see that there was a world inside. A world is actually sealed in the continent of the Thousand Autumn battlefield. The Thousand Autumn battlefield was an important place in the last epoch. This continent is definitely extraordinary. Yiling Ganlu's thoughts spun rapidly. Then, greed appeared on his face. He did not retreat like the others. He wanted to explore it. It would be best if he could enter the halo and enter the world inside. Very soon, the halo approached Yiling Ganlu. Whoosh! Yiling Ganlu directly charged towards the halo. He used his source-level weapon to open a path and fused with it. He wanted to enter the world inside the halo. However, the moment he came in contact with the halo, a tremendous power surged towards him. Yiling Ganlu could not help but be blown away. He only managed to stop after flying for several 100,000 miles. His face was pale, and he almost coughed up blood. What a powerful power. This seal is too powerful. It's not something I can break. Yiling Ganlu thought with a gloomy face. Rumble. The halo expanded faster and faster. The entire immortal burial blood sea was completely torn apart. The huge halo was already half the size of the immortal burial blood sea. Moreover, it was still expanding rapidly. At this moment, the entire continent was shaking violently. Countless insects were roaring madly. The experts of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace were all alarmed, whether it was the experts stationed in the fortresses or those who had entered the core of the battlefield. As long as they were on the main continent, they were all alarmed. What's going on? Why is the continent shaking so violently? It's like it's about to collapse. Are there peerless experts fighting? What kind of expert is so powerful? To be able to cause such a commotion, this is not the primitive universe. This is the 1,000-year battlefield. Many people roared. The Thousand Autumn battlefield was an important place left behind from the last epoch. It was filled with endless killing intent and killing intent. Countless experts had died here. It was not that easy to destroy. Even if experts of the origin realm were to fight here, the damage caused would be limited. Who could cause such a tremor? That direction seems to be the direction of the immortal burial blood sea. Did something happen there? Let's go check it out. The experts of the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer rushed towards the immortal burial blood sea. Chapter 46-48. When the experts from both sides arrived, they could no longer see the immortal burial blood sea. Instead, they could only see a huge ball of light emerging from the center of the continent. With this ball of light as the center, a huge crack appeared on the main continent of the thousand-year battlefield. Moreover, the crack was still rapidly expanding. The ball of light was still rapidly expanding. What is that? Many people were dumbfounded, including the reciprocity experts. It's the Celestial Exalt. It's Senior Starfire Origin Exalt. The people of the Heavenly Palace and Heaven Destroyer discovered the reciprocity experts of the two forces and flew towards them. There were several reciprocity experts on Heaven Destroyer's side as well. Tang Xiao, Starfire Origin Exalt, Lu Min Origin Exalt, and so on. Sister, what's going on here? Tang Xiao hurriedly asked when he saw Tang Jun. We don't know the specifics either. It's like this. Tang Jun immediately explained everything they knew in detail. Lu Ming. Tang Xiao's expression changed, becoming worried. I don't know if this has anything to do with Lu Ming, but I believe he'll be fine. That guy's luck is great. He won't die so easily, Tang Jun said with a resolute gaze. Lu Ming might have already entered the halo. I'll go take a look, Tang Xiao said. He rushed toward the ring of light, but like Yiling Lu, he was sent flying away. He had suffered some minor injuries. On the other side, the experts of the Heavenly Palace also knew what was going on. They also wanted to charge in, but they were blown away in the end. Lu Ming was still flying away near the halo. This halo is getting bigger and bigger. It's going to split the entire continent open. I can't stay here for long. I better leave quickly. Lu Ming erupted with his full speed and flew into the distance, pulling away from the halo. At the same time, Lu Ming used the great imitation technique to change his appearance and presence. At the same time, he used the great concealment technique to hide himself in a huge rock. He controlled the rock to fly into the distance. He was mainly afraid that Yiling Lu would find him. In reality, Yiling Lu was indeed looking for Lu Ming everywhere. He flew around the halo. As long as he found Lu Ming, he would kill Lu Ming. Oh no, that Celestial Exalt has always wanted to kill Lu Ming. He was the one who chased Lu Ming before. When Yiling Lu, Tang Jun and Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao's group. So it's him. I'll go kill him. Tang Xiao's voice was cold. His body was like a flash of lightning, and his sword was aimed at Yiling Lu. Yiling Lu was shocked. He took out his source-grade divine weapon to block the attack. Tang Xiao's Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao, Tang Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao's Tang. His arm that was holding the sword was trembling non-stop. Dozens of small sword wounds had appeared on his body, and blood was flowing non-stop. It was clear that Yiling Ganliu's strength was inferior to Tang Xiao's. He'd been injured in one blow. Kill! Tang Xiao roared. He wanted to kill Yiling Lu. Yiling Lu was terrified. He turned around and ran toward the Heavenly Palace. He called for help as he ran. Tang Xiao, I'm your opponent. I'll take you on. Several Origin Realm experts from the Heavenly Palace shouted and rushed toward Tang Xiao. You want to bully me with numbers? Exalt Starfire and Exalt Lu Min also shouted and rushed toward the Heavenly Palace. Boom, boom, boom. Afterwards, the reciprocity experts clashed a few times, erupting with earth-shaking booms. As a result, Yiling Lu was also saved. He successfully broke free, mixing with the Heavenly Palace's experts. The Origin Realm experts of both sides exchanged a few more blows. They both retreated and stopped fighting. Now was not the time for a duel. Neither side was confident. Their attention was on the halo. With their Origin Realm eyesight, they could vaguely see that there seemed to be a continent in the middle of the halo. They were very curious about what was on the continent. However, Lu Ming, who was in the distance, heard the rumbles that erupted from the few moves of the Origin Realm experts. It's so intense. It's a battle between Origin Realm experts. It looks like the experts from other places have been drawn over. The Heaven Destroyer's Origin Realm must have arrived as well. Let's go. Lu Ming continued to use the great concealment technique. He hid in a rock and flew in the direction of the explosion. After a while, Lu Ming saw Tang Xiao, Tang Jun, and the others. Lu Ming directly dispelled the Great Concealment Technique and the Great Imitation Technique. He flew toward Tang Xiao and the others. It's Lu Ming. It really is him. He really is fine. Mo Chong, Rong Gong, and the others immediately discovered Lu Ming. They were all overjoyed. Tang Xiao's face also showed a rare trace of joy. Lu Ming, I knew it. You're lucky. Nothing will happen to you. Tang Jun smiled. I was lucky. Lu Ming smiled and arrived beside Tang Xiao and the others. He finally relaxed and could recover in peace. In the distance, Yiling Ganlu and the others also saw Lu Ming. Damned little bastard. Yiling Ganlu roared inside. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lu Ming. However, he knew he could not kill Lu Ming with Tang Xiao and the others by his side. He could only endure. Rumble. The continent continued to shake. It was constantly being torn apart by the expanding halo. Heaven Destroyer and the people of the Heavenly Palace constantly retreated. As time passed, more and more people arrived. In the end, even the experts from both sides who were stationed at the stronghold came. The main reason was that the shaking was just too great. This process lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Yes, for 3 days and 3 nights, the halo was constantly expanding. In the end, the entire continent was forcefully torn apart, splitting into 2 halves. The Millennium Battlefield, which had never changed since time immemorial, underwent a tremendous change. And in the middle of the 2 main continents, the incomparably huge halo was suspended in the void. From afar, one could see 8 halos revolving in different angles. It was extremely dazzling. In the middle of the 8 halos was pitch black, like a black hole. With Lu Ming's eyesight, he could not see through it at all. In reality, at this point, even Origin Realm experts could not see through it. However, they could be sure that there was a continent in the pitch-black darkness. The 8 halos seemed to be some kind of formation or some kind of sealing power that sealed the continent in the middle. At this moment, the expansion of the halo finally stopped. The arm of the human king is shaking so violently. The other parts of the body are in this halo. But how can I get them? Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Previously, he had already put the arm of the human king into the bronze box in the ancient desolation ring. At this moment, the reaction of the arm was unprecedentedly strong. The bronze box directly told him that the other parts of the body were in the halo. Chapter 46-49. Lu Ming felt a headache coming on. With so many experts present, how was he supposed to obtain it? Most importantly, he couldn't enter the world within the halo. No. A light flashed through Lu Ming's eyes. The reason he couldn't enter before was because the halos were violently colliding with each other, creating a powerful shockwave that prevented him from entering. Now that the halos had stopped expanding, could he enter? Lu Ming wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Many people from both the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace had similar thoughts. I'll try, Exalt Starfire said as he flew toward the halo. On the other side, the Heavenly Palace had also sent an Origin Realm expert to fly toward the halo from another direction. Senior Starfire Origin Venerable quickly approached the ring and cautiously entered it. At the beginning, there was nothing abnormal, nor was there any power attacking Exalt Starfire. We can enter. The eyes of many people on the Heaven Destroyer's side lit up. Exalt Starfire continued to probe. He flew deeper, wanting to enter the continent at the center of the halo. But in the next moment, Exalt Starfire seemed to encounter something terrifying. He rapidly retreated until he was near Lu Ming and the others. His face was pale and filled with fear. Starfire, what did you discover? No, why has your origin root weakened? Tang Xiao asked with a drastically changed expression. You discovered it. Exalt Starfire bitterly smiled. Those 8 halos aren't ordinary halos. They're a powerful formation that has a sealing effect. At the same time, they can strip away the origin root of those who enter. The faces of Tang Xiao, the Origin Realm experts, and many divine lords all became very ugly. The origin root was the foundation of Origin Realm experts. It was the source of Origin Realm expert strength. Yet, those halos could strip away the origin root of Origin Realm experts. That was terrifying. Those halos seemed to be able to strip away the origin root of Origin Realm experts to strengthen themselves. Fortunately, I retreated quickly. Otherwise, my origin root would have been crippled. Even so, I've suffered great losses this time. I won't be able to recover to my previous level without 10 stellar years. Exalt Starfire bitterly smiled. At the same time, the same thing happened on the Heavenly Palace's side. The Origin Realm expert from the Heavenly Palace also retreated in fear. A portion of his origin root had also been absorbed by the halo. As a result, the Heavenly Palace and Heaven Destroyer no longer dared to take action. They only surrounded the halo to observe. They didn't send any Divine Master Realm experts to probe either. Even Origin Realm cultivators would be in danger. Although Divine Masters did not have origin roots and would not have their origin roots taken away, who knew if there would be other dangers? Therefore, both sides chose to pass the news back to their respective factions. The people of the Heavenly Palace sent the news back to the headquarters of the 4 Heavenly Palaces. The Heaven Exterminating Troop also sent the news back to the Heaven Exterminating Troops camp. After that, the 2 groups of people surrounded the halos and waited quietly. Within the Great Desolate Ring, the Human King's arm continued to tremble. Lu Ming didn't act rashly. With so many eyes watching, it was clearly unrealistic for him to act alone. Moreover, he didn't know what dangers lay within the halo. Even Origin Realm experts were in danger. If he entered rashly, there probably wouldn't be anything left of him. It was better to wait and see. In a secret room in the Heavenly Palace of Crepe Myrtle, there were 2 stone platforms in the room. A bronze chest was placed on each platform. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely be shocked. These 2 bronze chests were basically the same as the one he had obtained. At this moment, the 2 bronze chests suddenly began to tremble. They shone with resplendent light. 2 white-haired celestial race elders stood to one side of the room. They had been cultivating with their eyes closed the entire time. Now, they suddenly opened their eyes in shock. What's going on? Why is there something wrong with the Human King's body? This has never happened before. Open it and take a look. The 2 celestial race elders stood up and opened the 2 bronze chests. Inside the 2 bronze chests, there was a stone arm and a leg. One was the left arm, and the other was the left leg. These were actually 2 parts of the Human King's body. They were the left arm and left leg of the Human King's body. At this moment, the Human King's left arm and leg trembled constantly. They seemed to be pointing in a certain direction. Chests, what's going on? Why is there something wrong with the Human King's body? One of the celestial race elders asked the 2 bronze chests. That's because the other parts of the Human King's body have appeared. A sentence appeared on one of the chests. The other parts of the Human King's body have appeared? That's not right. Other parts have appeared before. The Human King's body didn't have something like this. One of the elders said. It's different this time. This time, it's very likely that the Human King's torso has appeared. That's why the left arm and leg of the Human King's body are acting so strangely. A sentence appeared on the second chest. Afterwards, another sentence appeared on the first chest. Only when the Human King's 4 limbs and head have appeared together and resonated with each other will the Human King's torso appear on its own. What? The 2 elders of the celestial race were shocked. This meant that the Human King's 4 limbs and head had appeared. However, the Heavenly Palace had only obtained the left arm and leg. As for the other 3 items, who took them? The first person they thought of was the Heaven Destroyer. In the primitive universe, other than the Heaven Destroyer, which other faction could compete with the Heavenly Palace? We have to report this matter to the Heavenly Master immediately. One of the elders said. All right, you stay here and watch. I'll report it immediately. After the other elder finished speaking, he walked out. Not long after, the elder met the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master and reported the matter truthfully. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master was middle-aged. His face was angular, and his eyebrows were like swords. He just sat there quietly, but an aura that could suppress the world spread out. It made people unable to stand steadily in front of him. This was the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master, the true overlord of the primitive universe. In the entire primitive universe, only the other 3 Heavenly Palace Masters could be on equal footing with him. I know. You can leave now. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master's expression was calm, so he waved his hand and dismissed the elder. This day has finally arrived. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master whispered. Then, he took out the dreamy Heavenly Jade and sent out 3 messages. These 3 messages were sent to the dreamy Heavenly Palace Master, the Hongmeng Heavenly Palace Master, and the Shinji Heavenly Palace Master. The Great Ancestor should come out of seclusion. I wonder if the Great Ancestor succeeded? After sending out the message, the crepe myrtle heavenly palace master muttered to himself. Then he got up, took a step, and disappeared without a trace. The dreamy heavenly palace. The dreamy celestial mountain. This was the most important forbidden area of the dreamy heavenly palace. It was surrounded by layers of arrays, and there were many powerhouses of the heavenly palace guarding it. Usually, other than the dreamy heavenly palace master and a few top celestial masters, no one else could enter. On this day, the 4 heavenly masters came together. Chapter 46-50. The 4 heavenly masters entered the illusory celestial mountain and waited at the entrance of a cave. The 4 heavenly masters stood in a row and looked in the direction of the cave with respectful expressions. If other people in the universe saw this, they would be shocked. Who were they? They were the masters of the 4 heavenly palace, the true masters of the eldritch universe. They were invincible figures and the true overlords of the universe. The 4 of them were waiting for someone with respectful expressions. No one would believe them even if they told others. Crack! At this moment, the stone door of the cave opened and a young man from the heavenly human tribe walked out. The young man looked very young, only in his 20s. His cultivation was not particularly high, only at the divine master realm. However, when the 4 heavenly masters saw the young man, their faces were filled with respect. They bowed and said, "Greetings, ancestor. 100,000 years ago, before I went into seclusion, I said that I would be awakened when there was something wrong with the human king's body. Now that you have awakened me, is there something wrong with the human king's body?" The young man said indifferently. Even in front of the 4 heavenly masters, he still looked high and mighty, as if he was a senior looking down on a junior. The 4 heavenly masters did not show any anger or displeasure. It was as if all of this was natural. "Ancestor, there is something wrong with the human king's left arm and left leg. They are shaking non-stop and pointing in a direction." The bronze box said that the human king's body has appeared. Only when the 4 limbs and head of the human king's body appear will the human king's body appear. The crepe myrtle heavenly palace master replied respectfully. They knew very well the origin of this young man in front of them. This young man was an ancestor of the heavenly human tribe. He was the first ancestor in the history of the heavenly human tribe to control the perfect power of the heavens. He was known as the strongest person in the history of the heavenly human tribe. In the history of the heavenly human tribe, there were a total of 3 peerless geniuses who could control the perfect power of the heavens. The one in front of them was the first one. This person was already very, very old, and his cultivation had reached an unimaginable level. However, later on, the old ancestor's cultivation reached a bottleneck and was restricted by this universe. Therefore, he used a heaven-defying method to allow himself to be reincarnated. However, reincarnation was too heaven-defying after all. If one was not careful, they would completely perish in the cycle of reincarnation. Although the heavenly human patriarch had succeeded, he had also left behind a huge hidden danger. That was why he had chosen to go into seclusion 100,000 years ago to repair the hidden danger. Before Xiao Chen entered closed-door cultivation, he had said that if there were no abnormalities with the sovereign personage's physical body, there was no need to wake him up. Oh, the 4 limbs and the head of the human king's body have appeared. It seems that the so-called Heaven Destroyer has gained quite a lot. That's good too. This time, I'll move around a bit and take the opportunity to completely control the human king's body. The patriarch of the heavenly human tribe said, "Ancestor, have the hidden dangers left behind by your reincarnation been completely healed?" Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said, "Just a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. It won't hinder my performance." The old man from the heavenly human tribe chuckled. He grabbed at the air with his palm, and 4 different types of heavenly force gushed out. They danced in his palm without any hindrance. It was as if the 4 types of heavenly force had merged into one. The 4 lords of the heavenly palace revealed looks of envy and reverence. The perfect heavenly force was a power that they could only dream of. The 4 lords of the heavenly palace had only mastered 3 types of heavenly force. This required talent. It could not be forced. Bring me to the human king's left arm and left leg. Also, do you know where the human king's torso has appeared? The heavenly human patriarch asked. Not long ago, I received news that there was a shocking change in the Thousand Autumn battlefield. A sealed continent has appeared from the Thousand Autumn battlefield. According to the direction that the human king's left arm and left leg are pointing to, it should be in the Thousand Autumn battlefield. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord replied. The 1000 Autumn Battlefield? Very good. Also, call me by my name, ye immortal. The Heavenly Human Patriarch stepped out, and his indifferent voice rang out. Ye immortal, one of the 4 lords of the Heavenly Palace, arrived at the secret chamber in the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace. He saw the human king's left arm and left leg. The human king's physical body cannot be activated unless one is a peerless prodigy who has mastered top-notch power. My current cultivation base is only at the 6th tier of the Divine Master Realm. I can only activate one left leg or one left arm. As for the other leg, I'll need another peerless prodigy to activate it. Have any outstanding prodigies been born in our tribe over the years? The Heavenly Human Patriarch, ye immortal, asked. Yes. Our tribe has produced a peerless prodigy. His name is Yi Xueqi. Like the old, immortal young master, he has mastered the perfect heavenly force. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord replied respectfully. What? Hearing this, Ye Immortal's eyes shone brightly. Perfect heavenly force. I didn't expect another person with perfect heavenly force to appear in this generation. Good, very good. Bring me to him. Ye Immortal said. With a wave of his hand, he put away the 2 bronze boxes. Immortal young master, Yi Xueqi is at the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace. I'll bring you to him, the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord said. The few of you, go back and make your own arrangements. Gather experts and prepare to head to the 1000-year battlefield. Remember, the human king's physical body is the most important. You can ignore everything else. Gather as many experts as you can to head to the 1000-year battlefield. Do you understand? Ye Immortal instructed. Yes. The other 3 heavenly masters received their orders and quickly left. Meanwhile, the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord passed down the order to gather experts. He then brought Ye Immortal to look for Yi Xueqi. Ever since the battle at the Grand Supreme Immortal City, Yi Xueqi had displayed his stunning talent and his status had risen. He had undoubtedly become the #1 prodigy among the younger generation of the Heavenly Palace. In the history of the Heavenly Human Tribe, there had only been 3 people who had mastered the perfect heavenly force. Yi Xueqi had naturally received the full support of the Heavenly Palace. He could get whatever resources he wanted. With the accumulation of vast amounts of resources and Yi Xueqi's heaven-defying talent, his rate of improvement was astonishing. Currently, his cultivation had already reached the 6th level of the Divine Master Realm. This speed was even faster than Lu Ming's. This was, of course, Lu Ming's resources were all obtained by himself. On the other hand, Yi Xueqi's resources were countless in the Heavenly Palace. In addition, his talent was simply too stunning. He had also condensed an origin source seed. With the accumulation of resources, his cultivation would continue to improve. Yi Xueqi greets the Heavenly Master. Seeing the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord descend, Yi Xueqi bowed respectfully. Although his talent was rare in the Heavenly Human Tribe, he had not reached the greater mastery level. Seeing the Heavenly Palace Lord, he did not dare to slight him. Very good, very good. Your cultivation has already reached the 6th level of the Divine Master Realm. It won't be long before you break through to the 7th level of the Divine Master Realm. Breaking through to the Origin Realm is just around the corner. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord nodded. He was very satisfied with Yi Xueqi. He then introduced, Yi Xueqi, this is young Master Immortal. Quickly, pay your respects. Chapter 46-51. Yi Xueqi furrowed his brows slightly and glanced at Yi Immortal. He was also a member of the younger generation of the Heavenly Human Tribe, yet he was asked to greet Yi Immortal? Who among the younger generation of the Heavenly Human Tribe was worthy of his greeting? However, for the sake of the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master, Yi Xueqi casually cupped his fists and said, Greetings, Brother Immortal. Yi Xueqi's attitude made the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master's expression change abruptly. He scolded, Xueqi, how dare you? What kind of attitude is this? Hurry up and apologize to young Master Immortal. Yi Xueqi was also a little stunned. What was going on with the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master? Ever since the battle at the Taishang Immortal City where Yi Xueqi had displayed unparalleled talent, the upper echelons of the Heavenly Palace, including the Heavenly Masters, had been very courteous to him. They had never scolded him like this before. Today, they were scolding him because of another young man? Could it be that the other party was more important than him? Moreover, the master of the heavenly palace master was bowing and scraping in front of Yi Immortal. This was simply unbelievable. Who was this Yi Qiuxian? Yi Qiuxian, let me tell you. From now on, you will follow young Master Immortal obediently and listen to his orders. If he is willing to guide you, it will be your lifetime's worth of good fortune. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master continued. This time, Yi Qiuxian was completely enraged. It was one thing for him to lower his attitude towards Yi Immortal, but he was actually going to follow Yi Immortal and listen to his orders. How was this possible? Who was he? He was one of the only 3 peerless sky prides in the history of the heavenly human tribe who had mastered the perfect heavenly power. Once he reached a major city, he would be invincible in the universe. At that time, even the heavenly masters would have to bow down to him. But now, he was actually going to listen to the orders of another young man. His pride and self-esteem would definitely not allow this. Heavenly Master, if you want me to listen to his orders, let's see if he has the qualifications. Yi Qiuxian said coldly. In his eyes, among the younger generation of the universe, only Lu Ming, who had a taboo body, could stand on equal footing with him. He didn't think much of the other so-called elites, including this Yi Immortal. If not for the fact that Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle was very respectful to the Yi Immortal and that Yi Qiuxian couldn't see through him, he would have already suppressed the Yi Immortal. Yi Qiuxian, how dare you? Heavenly Lord Ziwei shouted as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Yi Qiuxian actually dared to question whether the Yi Immortal had the right to do so. With his understanding of the Yi Immortal, he was truly afraid that the other party would directly cripple Yi Qiuxian. The Yi Immortal raised his hand and interrupted Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle. He even smiled as if he was not angry at all. Looks like you're not convinced by me? Yi Immortal smiled at Yi Qiuxian. In this world, strength speaks louder than words. Yi Qiuxian Dao. Although he couldn't figure out the identity of the Yi Immortal for Heavenly Lord Ziwei to be so respectful, he was very confident in his own strength. In the primitive universe, he feared no one other than Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. Moreover, he was now a 6th-level divine master. Even if he met Lu Ming again, he was confident that he could easily suppress him. Yes, you're right. In this world, strength speaks louder than words. Come on, let me see how strong you are. Yi Immortal said. You want to fight with me? Yi Qiuxian Dao. That's right. You and I are both 6th-level divine masters. It's a good opportunity for us to learn from each other. How about this? If you can withstand 3 of my moves and not be defeated, you don't have to follow me in the future. Yi Immortal said. He knew very well that all exceptional elites had their own pride. He wanted to crush Yi Qiuxian's pride. Yi Qiuxian was so angry that he almost laughed. He was laughing from extreme anger. There was actually someone in this universe who said that he could defeat him in 3 moves. Wasn't this laughable? In the Battle of Taishang Immortal City, Lu Ming had only defeated him by a narrow margin. Where did Yi Immortal get the confidence to defeat him in 3 moves at the same level? This was completely impossible. Yi Qiuxian didn't believe it at all. All right. I'd like to see how you can defeat me in 3 moves. Yi Qiuxian laughed loudly as a powerful aura emanated from his body. 4 types of ultimate power of heaven spread out and revolved around his body, transforming into 4 different colored battle swords. Not bad. It's indeed the perfect power of heaven. However, how much power can you unleash? Yi Immortal smiled and nodded. He suddenly took a step forward and charged towards Yi Qiuxian like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, he pointed his finger out like a sword. Suddenly, more than a dozen sword shadows appeared in the void. These sword shadows kept changing their positions, making it hard for anyone to grasp them. Yi Qiuxian shouted as the perfect power of heaven erupted. The 4 battle swords revolved rapidly and slashed out dozens of sword shadows towards Yi Immortal. However, Yi Immortal's sword shadows were extremely nimble. They were like small snakes that kept slithering around. Finally, the dozens of sword shadows merged into one and stabbed towards Yi Qiuxian. This seemingly ordinary sword strike caused Yi Qiuxian's expression to change drastically. The dozens of sword shadows that he had slashed out instantly disappeared without a trace. Bam! Yi Immortal's sword light pierced the perfect power of heaven surrounding Yi Qiuxian, causing the perfect power of heaven to vibrate violently. A hole was pierced through the perfect power of heaven, and the sword chi continued to rush towards Yi Qiuxian. Not good. Yi Qiuxian was shocked.
He unleashed all his strength and the 4 battle swords formed by the perfect power of heaven turned into a sword array.
They revolved rapidly and only then did they manage to block Yi Immortal's sword light. However, Yi Qiuxian also retreated 1,000 meters away. Although the perfect power of heaven is powerful, you're still far from perfect. There are flaws everywhere and you can't even withstand a single blow. Yi Immortal said calmly. Impossible. The perfect power of heaven has no flaws. Everything that happened just now was a coincidence. It must be a coincidence. Yi Qiuxian roared. His eyes were red as he suffered a huge blow. He was actually forced to retreat by Yi Immortal with a single move. Yi Immortal's attack just now didn't have much strength. However, it made Yi Qiuxian feel extremely uncomfortable. It was as if his weakness had been hit and he couldn't use his strength. However, how could the perfect power of heaven have any weaknesses? He believed that it was just a coincidence. Bam! Yi Qiuxian stepped into the air. This time, he took the initiative to attack. The 4 battle swords formed a sword array and the sword qi rushed towards the clouds. He used all his strength in this move and charged towards Yi Qiuxian. The boundless sword qi almost drowned Yi Immortal. However, Yi Immortal was still very calm. He stood there with a smile on his face. When the sword qi was about to reach him, Yi Immortal grabbed the air with his palm. 4 types of perfect power of heaven appeared and formed a battle sword. Seeing Yi Immortal's power, Yi Qiuxian's eyes widened rapidly. He was in disbelief. Swoosh! Yi Immortal made his move. He slashed out with his sword and it was extremely stunning. The moment he slashed out, Yi Immortal changed his position at least a few thousand times and collided with Yi Qiuxian's sword array thousands of times. Chapter 46-52. In the blink of an eye, the attacks from both sides collided thousands of times. Then, Yi Qiuxian's sword array exploded with a loud bang. His figure was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away as he stood in the void in a daze. There was a 1-foot-long sword wound on his chest. Blood flowed out continuously. This sword wound was naturally slashed out by Yi Wuxiu. Defeated. Yi Qiuxian was defeated in just 2 moves. Perfect power of the heavens. You actually know how to use perfect power of the heavens. How is that possible? Yi Qiuxian muttered to himself as he looked at Yi Immortal in a daze. His eyes were filled with disbelief.
There was actually someone among the younger generation of the heavenly human tribe who could control perfect power of the heavens?
This was perfect power of the heavens.
In the long history of the heavenly human tribe, only 3 people had been born with perfect power of the heavens.
This was not something that could be easily controlled.
How many unparalleled and peerless geniuses had been born in the history of the heavenly human tribe?
There were too many to count.
The proportion of people who could control perfect power of the heavens was too small. It was already a miracle that he was the only one in this era.
But now, there was another one?
Moreover, although they had only exchanged 2 moves, Yi Qiuxian realized that Yi Immortal's control of perfect power of the heavens was much stronger than his. Just as Yi Immortal had said, his perfect power of the heavens really did have a flaw that was easily seen through by Yi Immortal.
This was a huge blow to Yi Qiuxian. His eyes suddenly became a little lifeless. This blow was more than 10 times greater than being defeated by Lu Ming. Because he had been defeated in just 2 moves. He did not even last 3 moves. Sigh. The crepe myrtle heavenly palace master sighed in his heart. With his experience, he naturally knew what was going on. Competing with Yi Immortal in terms of perfect power of the heavens was like showing off in front of an expert. Yi Immortal's control of perfect power of the heavens was already flawless. On the other hand, Yi Qiuxian was just a newbie who had only recently mastered it. The flaws and weaknesses of perfect power of the heavens could not be hidden from Yi Immortal's eyes. That was why Yi Qiuxian was defeated by Yi Immortal in 2 moves. That was because Yi Qiuxian was perfectly countered by Yi Immortal. Actually, there wasn't that much of a difference between the 2 of them. Yi Immortal would not have been able to win so easily if it had been another prodigy with similar battle prowess as Yi Qiuxian. However, the most important thing right now was to restore Yi Qiuxian's confidence. Yi Qiuxian must not be unable to recover from this setback. Qiuxian, now you know what it means by there's always someone better than you. Heavenly Lord Ziwei said. Yi Qiuxian nodded woodenly, still unable to regain his senses. Actually, you don't have to be too shocked. If you knew the true identity of a mortal prince, you would know that it was normal for you to be defeated. Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said. True identity? Yi Qiuxian was stunned. He also wanted to know the true identity of the Yi Immortal.
Just the fact that he had mastered the perfect power of the heavens was not enough for Heaven Lord Crepe Myrtle to be so respectful.
Young Master Immortal is our patriarch. He is the first patriarch in history to control the perfect power of the heavens. Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said, his eyes filled with fanatical worship. What? Yi Qiuxian's heart skipped a beat. His eyes widened as he looked at Yi Immortal in disbelief.
How could the first patriarch in the history of the heavenly human tribe to control the power of the heavens be so young? Based on the aura of his life origin, he could clearly sense that Yi Immortal was only a few 100,000 years old. He could not be more than 1,000,000 years old. He was definitely part of the younger generation. The patriarch used the reincarnation technique and obtained a new life. Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said. There was no need to hide the identity of the Yi Immortal. After all, the Yi Immortal would soon lead the heavenly palace. Patriarch, so it's the patriarch. No wonder he could control the perfect power of the heavens. No wonder he could defeat me in 2 moves. Yi Qiuxian's eyes shone brightly again. The patriarch of the heavenly human tribe was a legendary figure. He was known as the strongest in the history of the heavenly human tribe. His control of the perfect power of the heavens was truly perfect. Wasn't it normal to defeat him in 2 moves? Would the others be able to withstand 2 moves? At this moment, Yi Qiuxian regained his confidence. Junior Yi Qiuxian pays his respects to the patriarch. Yi Qiuxian immediately knelt down and bowed respectfully. Very good. Get up. Your control of the perfect power of the heavens is already very good.
In the future, when you reach greater mastery, you won't be any weaker than Zhangquang Yechu. Yi Immortal said with a smile. Yi Qiuxian's heart thumped faster.
Zhangquang Yechu was the second person in the history of the heavenly human tribe to control the perfect power of the heavens.
He was born more than 60 stellar years ago. He was a great enemy of the taboo sword ancestor, Tang Feng. The 2 of them had been fighting since they were young. His current combat strength had reached an unfathomable level. He was also a legendary figure in the heavenly human tribe. Could his future combat strength really be comparable to such a legendary figure? You will follow me from now on. If you have any questions, you can ask me at any time.
Yi Immortal said.
Yes, Patriarch.
Yi Qiuxian said respectfully.
You can call me Young Master Immortal from now on. Yi Immortal said.
With a wave of his hand, a bronze box containing the left arm of the human king passed to Yi Qiuxian.
Inside is the left arm of the human king. Familiarize yourself with it.
Now that the body of the human king has appeared, you will set off with me to the Thousand Autumns battlefield soon.
Yi Qiuxian instructed. At the same time, the same thing happened in the base of the Heaven Destroyer. Fei Huang, the 3rd demonic sword, the 2nd divine sword, and the other origin realm experts gathered together. In front of them was a bronze chest. Within the bronze box was a right leg made of stone. This was the right leg of the human king's body. At this moment, the right leg of the human king was constantly vibrating and glowing. Similar words appeared on the bronze chest, informing him that the torso of the sovereign personage's body had appeared. The body of the human king is no small matter. Once gathered, it has the power to overturn the universe. The heavenly human tribe will definitely mobilize all their forces to fight for it. We can't let them succeed. We must obtain the body of the human king. Fei Huang said. Not long ago, we received news that the Thousand Autumns battlefield has changed. A vast continent has appeared. It should be where the body of the human king is located. The 2nd divine sword said. Gather the experts immediately and head to the Thousand Autumns battlefield. Fei Huang said. Soon after, a large number of experts from the 2 sides of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace headed to the Thousand Autumns battlefield and gathered around the huge halo. Senior Fei Huang. Seeing Fei Huang, Lu Ming was overjoyed and went to greet her. Lu Ming, you're actually here as well. Why aren't you in the Heavenly Star region? Fei Huang was surprised to see Lu Ming. There's nothing left for me to explore in the Heavenly Star region. That's why I came here. Lu Ming chuckled and changed the topic. Senior Fei Huang, how are Xueqi and the others? They're still cultivating. Not bad. Your cultivation has actually reached the 5th layer of the Divine Master Realm. Your rate of improvement has exceeded my expectations. Fei Huang studied Lu Ming and nodded in satisfaction. Chapter 4653. Following that,
Tang Xiao and the others also came to greet Fei Huang. Fei Huang had a very high status in the Heaven Destroyer. Her battle strength was also at the peak of the Heaven Destroyer. The taboo body was not just for show. What appeared in front of everyone now was only Fei Huang's soul incarnation. Her true body was still in the depths of the universe ruins. Tang Xiao, what's the situation now? Fei Huang asked. Tang Xiao went on to explain the situation in detail. It can actually take away one's origin root. This is not easy to deal with. Fei Huang frowned and then looked for other experts in the Heaven Destroyer to discuss. For example, the space-time spirit rats who were skilled in the way of space-time, the world turtle who was skilled in rune formations, and the master refiner. They wanted to see if they could find a way to pass through the 8 halos and enter the continent in the center. A large number of experts had gathered in the Heavenly Palace and were also discussing. Not long after, the Heavenly Palace sent a few experts who were proficient in rune formations to study and see if they could break the 8 halos. Unfortunately, after more than 10 days of study, they still had no clue. The Heaven Destroyer also sent experts to study, but they also had no clue. The 8 halos were very brilliant. It was a method from the last era. The strength of the person who set up the formation was also unimaginably high. They could not break it at all. In the end, both sides sent Origin Realm experts to test it out, but they all retreated in horror. Those who went to test it out had their origin roots taken away. The impact was not small. If they stayed in it for a long time, their origin roots would be completely taken away and they would fall to Origin Realm and become Divine Masters. Obviously, Origin Realm experts could not enter. If they wanted to enter, they had to be prepared to have their origin roots taken away. The gains were not worth the losses. After that, both sides sent out Divine Masters to test the waters. To their surprise, the Divine Masters were not affected at all. The 8 halos did not have any abnormalities. In the end, the few people who tested it out completely disappeared in the center of the halos. They seemed to have entered. Everyone waited quietly. Not long after, those people came out with shocking news. There was really a continent inside. It was very ancient and full of vitality. It was completely different from the continent fragments in the universe ruins. Over there wasn't the slightest bit of killing intent or baleful aura. The energy was abundant and ancient trees towered into the sky. It was as if the legendary Great Desolate Continent had appeared once again. Both the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace were alarmed. Needless to say, the body of the human king must be on that continent. Both sides immediately began to mobilize Divine Master existences, intending to have them enter the continent to fight for the human king's body. Both sides were constantly transferring Divine Lords from other places. They had even abandoned many important places to guard. More and more Divine Lord experts were gathering in this area. That is, the quasi-immortal race. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. In the distance, dozens of exhibition carriages came crushing through the void. Many figures stood on the carriages. These figures looked almost the same as humans. The only difference was that they all had a red mark between their eyebrows. Every one of them was wearing snow-white robes made of ice, giving them a sage-like appearance. Not only the people of the Heaven Destroyer, but even the heavenly human race and other races in the universe were very surprised. The quasi-immortal race was an extremely special race. They seemed to be detached from the world and generally ignored the disputes in the primitive universe. No matter what war it was, they didn't participate and rarely showed up. Even the heavenly human race couldn't command the quasi-immortal race. This time, so many people were dispatched at once. Could it be that the quasi-immortal race, who had always been detached from the world, was also interested in the body of the human king? Is this the quasi-immortal race? Strange, their aura is similar to the human race, but there is a difference. Lu Ming sized up the quasi-immortal race curiously. It was his first time seeing people from the quasi-immortal race. After the quasi-immortal race arrived, they stood silently in the void and didn't talk to anyone. Humph, a mere top 10 race is so arrogant. They didn't even come to greet our heavenly human race. After the traitors are eliminated, the quasi-immortal race can't be left alive. Some young people of the heavenly human race said unhappily. Of course, those old heavenly human race didn't say much. It seems that the competition this time will be very fierce. This trip is full of danger. After you enter, you must be careful. Also, you must join forces and fight the enemy together. Fei Huang said seriously to the high-level Heaven Destroyer Divine Masters. All the Divine Masters nodded. They knew what to do even without Fei Huang's reminder. There were obviously more divine masters in the heavenly palace than them, so they felt a huge pressure. Also, you must bring the other parts of the human king's body with you. This way, you will be able to find the human king's body more easily. At the critical moment, you can also borrow the power of the human king's body to fight the enemy. However, ordinary people can't activate and borrow the power of the human king's body. Only those who control extremely strong power can activate it. Lu Ming. At this time, Fei Huang looked at Lu Ming. The others also looked at Lu Ming. Obviously, Lu Ming was the most suitable one. The forbidden power was definitely enough to activate the human king's body. However, Lu Ming shook his head and refused. He already had a human king's body, but it could only last for a breath's time. If he took another one, he wouldn't be able to use it at all. Although he wanted it, he was afraid that he would ruin the Heaven Destroyer's plan. If he couldn't use it at the critical moment, the Heaven Destroyer would be in trouble. That would be a great sin. Not only would he not be able to get the human king's body in the end, but the heavenly palace would also benefit. This wasn't something Lu Ming wanted to see. Seeing Lu Ming shake his head, Fei Huang frowned. Although she didn't know why Lu Ming refused, she knew there must be a reason. This kid wouldn't refuse under normal circumstances. He's bold and fearless. Could it be that he already has? Thinking of this, Fei Huang's heart skipped a beat. She looked at Lu Ming thoughtfully. Then, I'll leave it to she. Your primordial divine power has mutated and become even more advanced. You should be able to activate the human king's body. Then, Fei Huang turned her gaze to a robust man in his 30s. This man was a primordial divine spirit. He was an 8th-level divine lord and was extremely powerful. His primordial divine power had mutated and was stronger than other primordial divine spirits. The primordial divine power of primordial divine spirits was already extremely powerful. When other races cultivated divine power and continuously awakened their primordial divine power, they would eventually reach the level of primordial divine power. She's primordial divine power had mutated and was naturally extremely powerful. It was one of the top powers in the primitive universe. After she finished speaking, Fei Huang passed a bronze chest to Shi.
Chapter 46-54.
It's indeed the body of a human king.
I wonder which part it belongs to. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat.
That bronze chest was exactly the same as the one he had obtained. Before this, Lu Ming had already learned from the bronze chest that the torso of the human king's body had been born. Only when the limbs and head were born together could one sense it. Hence, he was already clear that the limbs and head, except for the right arm, had all been born. He had previously guessed that it might be in the hands of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace. There's only one Heaven Destroyer. Could it be that the Heavenly Palace has 3 of them?
Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat.
In the blink of an eye, another dozen days passed. In these dozen days, the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace did not make any moves. The main reason was that both sides were keeping an eye on each other. If one side made a move, the other would immediately move as well. Hence, neither side sent anyone into the halo first. The main reason was that the divine masters of both sides had yet to arrive.
It was not the time to make a move yet.
Pull one hair and the whole body would be affected. If one side started to take action, the other side would definitely take action as well.
At this time, the Heaven Destroyer was ready to make a move.
This was because their divine masters were almost all here. This was the first time Lu Ming truly witnessed the power of the Heaven Destroyer.
5,000. A total of 5,000 divine masters.
This was a terrifying number. Lu Ming had not expected that the Heaven Destroyer would have 5,000 divine masters. However, when he thought about it, it was normal. Other things aside, the Heaven Destroyer had more than 1,000 divine masters at the 1,000-year battlefield. There were a few other places as important as the 1,000-year battlefield in the universe's ruins. The Heaven Destroyer had a large number of elites guarding each of these places. In addition, there were a few bases that were also guarded by a large number of elites. In total, it was normal for there to be 5,000 divine masters. This was not the total number. There should be some divine masters who had not arrived.
However, most of them should have arrived.
However, the number of divine masters at the Heavenly Palace was even more shocking. There were a total of 8,000 divine masters.
This shocked Lu Ming.
After all, the Heavenly Palace still had the Dark Universe to guard. The dark universe scattered almost half of the heavenly palace's power. This meant that the heavenly palace had at least 8,000 almighty stationed in the dark universe. The power of the heavenly palace was truly astonishing. If not for the dark universe holding back half of the heavenly palace's power, the Heaven Destroyer would not have been a match for the heavenly palace. Of the 8,000 divine masters, 6,000 were from the heavenly human tribe, while the other 2,000 were from other tribes. The celestial race was known as the strongest race in the universe. It wasn't just for show. Their strength was truly incomparable. This didn't include the Quasi-Saint tribe. The Quasi-Saint tribe also had about 300 divine masters. Although this number couldn't be compared to the celestial tribe, it was already much stronger than the other 9 tribes in the top 10 tribes. In terms of numbers, they completely crushed Heaven Destroyer's side. "Let's go," Fei Huang ordered. The 5,000 divine masters of the Heaven Destroyer immediately flew toward the halo. The moment the Heaven Destroyer's side moved, it was immediately discovered by the heavenly palace. "Since the Heaven Destroyer has set off, we won't wait any longer. It doesn't matter if the minority didn't come. Let's set off immediately," one of the heavenly palace lords said. "Remember, once you enter the world within the halo, you have to listen to Immortal Young Master," another heavenly palace lord also instructed. The divine masters all nodded. Among them, only a minority knew the true identity of the Yi Immortal. These people stood behind the Yi Immortal with fanatical expressions. Most of them were people on the same level as the Lord of Heaven. Although the others didn't know the true identity of the Yi Immortal, seeing so many people on the same level as the Lord of Heaven obediently listening to the Yi Immortal, they knew that the Yi Immortal's identity was definitely not simple. Naturally, they wouldn't disobey the order. Moreover, it was the Heavenly Master who had personally instructed them. "Let's set off," the Yi Immortal said indifferently, a confident smile on his face the entire time. He took the first step forward. Yi Qiuxian and a few other Lord of Heaven experts followed closely behind. More than 8,000 divine masters marched toward the halo in a grandiose manner. The halo was boundlessly large, more than 100 million times larger than the planets of the primitive universe. The heavenly palace and the Heaven Destroyer entered the halo from 2 different directions. They were like specks of dust flying into the ocean. They were truly too insignificant. The closer they got to the halo, the more they felt how enormous the 8 halos were. Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh. The person who had laid down this array was truly incomparably powerful. Very soon, they entered the range of the halo. They didn't sense anything strange. They weren't attacked, nor were they restricted in any way. However, the reaction of the human king's right arm within the primitive ring was even more intense. The center of the halo was pitch black, like a pitch-black vortex that constantly spun. In any case, Lu Ming was unable to see what was behind the pitch-black vortex with his eyesight. However, Origin Realm experts could barely see that there seemed to be a continent within the pitch-black vortex. As for the specific features of the continent, they were unable to see it clearly. When Lu Ming's group passed through the halo and entered the central region, a powerful suction force suddenly appeared from the pitch-black vortex, sucking Lu Ming's group in. The suction force was very strong, but Lu Ming felt like he could still break free if he struggled as hard as he could. However, Lu Ming's group did not struggle. They wanted to enter the pitch-black vortex in the first place, so there was no need for them to do anything unnecessary. They cooperated with the suction force and quickly charged into the pitch-black vortex, vanishing from sight. As soon as they entered the pitch-black vortex, Lu Ming felt like he was being pulled by a force, constantly moving forward. After who knew how long, the pitch-black vortex suddenly vanished, and a vast expanse of land appeared below Lu Ming. Lu Ming was currently plummeting. He hurriedly circulated his forbidden power and stabilized himself, stopping in the air. Afterwards, he glanced around and discovered that the surrounding space was filled with people. The 5,000 divine masters of the Heaven Destroyer were all present. They had not split up. Below them was a dense forest. The forest was boundless, stretching as far as the eye could see. What huge trees! Many people sighed in amazement. The trees in the forest were all extremely huge. Any single one of them was over 100 meters in diameter, and there were many that were 1,000 meters in diameter. Their height was even more terrifying. They were basically colossal. Lu Ming felt like he had entered the elven palace of the past. What surprised Lu Ming the most was that the continent gave off a familiar presence to Lu Ming. Primordial, ancient, vast, heavy, grand. This presence was actually the same as the continent in the primordial ring that Lu Ming felt. It was basically the same. The continent in the primordial ring was made from a complete fragment of the primordial continent of the previous epoch. Could this continent also be a fragment of the primordial continent that was kept intact?
Lu Ming's mind raced. This was very possible.
The physical body of a human king was separated and sealed. This incident happened before the primordial continent was shattered. Someone had cut off a small piece of the primordial continent and sealed it in the continent of the 1,000-year battlefield. That was why it was kept intact and full of vitality, unlike the fragments of the primordial continent in the universe ruins, which had long lost the appearance of the primordial continent.
Chapter 4655. This continent is intact and full of life. I wonder if there's any danger. Let's gather and move together. Don't split up. A deep voice rang out.
It was a burly primitive god that spoke. Lu Ming recognized this person. His name was Lion, and he was an expert who stood at the peak of the almighty level. He was no weaker than the Lord of Heaven, who stood at the peak of the heavenly palace. A 9th-tier almighty was not considered a peak almighty. From the 1st tier to the 9th-tier almighty, one had to condense the universal bridge, making it longer and longer, extending toward the cosmic sea. At the 9th-tier almighty level, the universal bridge would reach the cosmic sea and connect with it. At that time, one could comprehend the cosmic origin. Once the cosmic origin was formed, one would condense an origin seed. That's right, an origin seed. Only by condensing an origin seed could one be considered a peak almighty. The Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace was a peak almighty who had condensed an origin seed. Of course, a peak almighty's origin seed was not as weak as Lu Ming's. The amount of origin energy stored was so little that it could only unleash one attack. A peak almighty's origin seed contained much more origin energy than Lu Ming's. The more origin energy it contained, the stronger it would be. Of course, one's strength was also related to the quality of the origin energy. Thus, the difference in strength between peak almighty could be huge. When the origin energy condensed by an origin seed reached a limit, the origin seed would sprout and grow an origin root, which was also known as an origin root. At that time, one would have stepped into the origin realm. Of course, it was extremely difficult to make an origin seed sprout and grow an origin root. No matter what, a peak almighty who had condensed an origin seed was extremely powerful, much more powerful than a 9th-tier almighty. Once the origin energy was unleashed, a 9th-tier almighty would not be able to resist and would be easily killed. As for Lion, he was considered a top-tier expert even among peak almighty. He was only a step away from the origin realm. He was one of the leaders of the Almighty on Heaven Destroyer's side. As Lion spoke, everyone gathered together in a group and flew towards a certain direction. They flew for tens of thousands of miles without encountering any abnormalities or dangers. That is, suddenly, someone looked to the right. In that direction, there was a small black dot flying rapidly towards them. After a few breaths, the black dot became clear. They were all living beings. They are from the Heavenly Palace. Many people's expressions changed drastically. The people from the Heavenly Palace entered this continent from a different direction from us.
Why are they so close to us?
Someone cried out in alarm, finding it hard to believe. They had thought that they would not encounter the people from the Heavenly Palace so soon. He didn't expect to meet people from the Heavenly Palace as soon as he entered. The people from the Heavenly Palace also noticed the people from the Heaven Destroyer and stopped not far away. Then, the two heavenly human youths, escorted by a group of powerhouses, came to the forefront. These two young men were naturally Yi Immortal and Yi Xueqi. Is that the Lu Ming who defeated you with the taboo body? Yi Immortal's gaze immediately fell on Lu Ming. He seemed to be very sensitive to the power of the taboo body. That's right, it's him. However, he won by luck last time. Next time, I will definitely suppress him. Yi Xueqi's eyes were cold. A loss is a loss. However, he is not simple to be able to defeat you. Indeed, the taboo body is a scourge. None of them can be left alive. Yi Immortal said coldly. Immortal young master, what should we do now? A Lord of Heaven bowed and asked. Of course, we will attack. We have more than 8,000 Almighty on our side, while the traitors only have about 5,000. We have the absolute advantage. We will defeat the traitors in one fell swoop and take the human king's body from them. Moreover, these 5,000 Almighty make up most of the traitors' Almighty. If we can destroy them in one fell swoop, the traitors will lose their almighty and will only have a small amount of origin energy left.
Ye Immortal said coldly.
His voice spread to the ears of the people from the heavenly palace.
Get ready, attack and annihilate the traitors.
A lord of heaven shouted as his aura erupted.
He took the lead and rushed out. Kill, kill, kill all the traitors. The people from the heavenly palace, including more than 6,000 almighty from the heavenly human race and more than 2,000 almighty from other races, rushed toward Lu Ming and the others. Only the people from the quasi-saint tribe did not attack. More than 8,000 godly lords attacked together, creating a mighty aura that caused the sky and earth to violently tremble. The terrifying power formed waves of pressure, and the massive trees on the ground below began to explode and turn to dust under the pressure. Their battle cries shook the heavens. More than 8,000 beams of light shot toward the heaven-exterminating troop. The void was instantly smashed, forming huge black holes. The scene was terrifying. Defend. Defend with all your strength. The people from the Heaven Destroyer were shocked. Some of the top almighty roared. They only had about 5,000 almighty, which was more than 3,000 fewer than the enemy. The gap was too big. If they fought together, they would definitely lose and be slaughtered. Only by gathering everyone's strength and defending with all their strength could they block the enemy's attack. On the side of the sky-exterminating troop, all of them gathered together and used all of their defensive secret skills to attack. Inside the heavenly palace, countless dazzling lights spread out, forming layers upon layers of defense. There were huge shields, tortoise-shell-like light shadows, huge divine walls, and huge metal tablets. Lu Ming also unleashed his full strength. He cast all the secret skills of the 3,000 ancient secret skills that were used for defense. Great defensive technique, great shield technique. All kinds of defensive secret techniques and treasures filled the void. Boom, boom, boom. The next moment, the attacks from the heavenly palace bombarded the defenses of the Heaven Destroyer, causing an earth-shattering explosion. All kinds of defensive secret techniques and treasures vibrated violently. After all, the enemy had more than 3,000 people, and their attack power was too strong. If they fought head-on, just this wave alone would kill many people from the Heaven Destroyer. However, they did not seek to win, only to not make any mistakes. They only focused on defending. By gathering everyone's strength, they managed to defend against the attacks from the heavenly palace. Although all kinds of secret techniques and treasures vibrated violently, in the end, they still managed to defend. Continue attacking, don't give them a chance to breathe. A Lord of Heaven expert roared. Kill! More than 8,000 almighty from the heavenly palace roared and launched the second wave of attacks. Retreat, retreat, defend and retreat at the same time. Some of the experts from the Heaven Destroyer shouted. Everyone continued to gather together to defend and then slowly retreat. Boom, 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 boom. Another series of violent explosions, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. The land within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles was completely destroyed, and not even a blade of grass grew. Chapter 46-56.
However, this continent was unimaginably sturdy. The shock waves from the attacks of so many divine masters only destroyed a layer of the surface and the vegetation on the surface. They didn't penetrate the earth or crack it open. If this had happened in the desolate universe, with so many powerful beings battling against each other, they might have been able to destroy many galaxies. It could be seen how sturdy this continent was. The second wave of attacks was also blocked. The Heaven Destroyer used this wave of attacks to quickly retreat. Continue attacking. Don't let them escape. The Heavenly Palace's people roared and attacked with all their might. However, the Heaven Destroyer's side was defending with all their might. The Heavenly Palace's people couldn't break through in a short time. After 7 or 8 waves of attacks, they still couldn't break through the Heaven Destroyer's defense. Damn it! Many Heavenly Palace's experts roared. They felt that the Heaven Destroyer was like a tortoise and it wasn't easy to attack. As long as they could break through the Heaven Destroyer's defense and force the Heaven Destroyer to fight head-on, they could easily defeat the Heaven Destroyer. In a head-on battle, the Heavenly Palace had the absolute advantage. Now, the most troublesome thing was how to break through the Heaven Destroyer's defense. Not far away, Ye Immortal and Ye Xueqi stood quietly in the void and didn't make a move. Quasi-Saint Tribe, why aren't you making a move? Attack together and break through the Heaven Destroyer's defense. Ye Xueqi looked at the people of the Quasi-Saint race and ordered coldly. Our quasi-saint tribe has always stayed out of things. We won't get involved in the matters between the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer. A youth from the quasi-saint tribe smiled and said. This youth looked to be in his 20s. He was handsome and had an unparalleled temperament. His white clothes fluttered in the wind and he belonged to the type that could charm thousands of girls. What do you mean by not getting involved? The primitive universe is under the jurisdiction of the Heavenly Palace. Regardless of the race, they have to listen to the orders of the Heavenly Palace, including your quasi-saint tribe. Now, I order you to attack. Xueqi shouted and looked coldly at the quasi-saint tribe's youth. Hee hee. The quasi-saint tribe's youth smiled faintly with contempt. What are you laughing at? Xueqi's gaze was cold. Your words are too laughable. That's why I'm laughing. Your Heavenly Palace commands the other races, but you want to order my quasi-saint race around? Aren't you too naive? The quasi-saint tribe's youth sneered. Audacious! Is your quasi-saint race trying to rebel? I would like to see how capable you are. Xueqi shouted coldly and took a step forward. His figure was like a bolt of lightning as he charged towards the youth of the quasi-saint race. Behind the youth of the quasi-saint race, a middle-aged man stepped forward and wanted to attack, but the youth waved his hand to stop him. I. Of Xueqi's. Of Yi. In the next instant, Xueqi's attack arrived. His perfect heaven's power erupted as he blasted his palm towards the youth of the quasi-saint race. The quasi-saint race's youth didn't dodge and also blasted out a palm to meet Xueqi's palm. Xueqi snorted inwardly. He could see that the quasi-saint tribe's youth was a sixth-stage divine master like him. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but that he was too strong. Apart from Lu Ming, no one in the universe could fight with him. Of course, Yi Immortal was an exception. The quasi-saint tribe's youth was too naive to want to face his attack head-on. Boom! The two palms collided with one another, resulting in a deafening explosion. Xueqi's expression changed. He felt that his perfect heaven's power had met a strong opponent. He couldn't instantly defeat his opponent's power. Instead, he felt that there was a terrifying power surging toward him from the quasi-saint tribe's youth's palm. Xueqi couldn't help but retreat by more than 10 steps. On the other side, the quasi-saint tribe's youth also retreated by more than 10 steps. In this move, the two of them were evenly matched. Ha ha ha, perfect heaven's power is indeed powerful. I've learned a lot today. The quasi-saint tribe's youth laughed loudly. His eyes glowed with strong battle intent. As for Xueqi, his heart was in turmoil and he couldn't calm down. He was actually blocked. Although he had only used 80% of his strength, who could be sure that the quasi-saint tribe's youth had used his full strength? Maybe he hadn't used his full strength. In the primitive universe apart from Lu Ming, there was actually someone who could fight with him. This was a huge blow to Xueqi. I don't believe it. He must have used his full strength just now. The perfect heaven's power is invincible. Apart from Lu Ming, no one in the same realm can fight with me. Xueqi roared in his heart and was about to attack again. Xueqi, enough! At this moment, Yi Immortal shouted and Xueqi stopped abruptly. Immortal young master, let me teach these quasi-saint tribe a lesson. These people are becoming more and more rebellious. Xueqi said. No need. I have my own plans. You may leave. Yi Immortal said with a cold expression. Xueqi didn't dare to disobey Yi Immortal's order, and could only leave obediently. However, he was very unwilling. I didn't expect the quasi-saint tribe to have another genius who can control the power of a quasi-saint. Congratulations. Yi Immortal said with a smile. Immortal young master is too polite. I was just lucky to control the power of a quasi-saint. The quasi-saint tribe's youth replied with a smile. He didn't dare to slight Yi Immortal. Although he didn't know Yi Immortal's true identity, seeing how Xueqi and the Lord of Heaven of the celestial race were respectful to Yi Immortal, he knew that this person's identity was absolutely shocking. Today, there is no need for the quasi-saint tribe to attack. We are enough to break through the defense of the Heaven Destroyer. Yi Wuchang said as he turned his gaze back to the battlefield. Xueqi was bewildered. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that Yi Immortal was actually a little afraid of the quasi-saint tribe. Yes, it was fear. Yi Immortal was the strongest existence in the history of the celestial race. It was simply inconceivable that he would be afraid of the quasi-saint tribe. Although the Quasi-Saint tribe had always been ranked first among the top 10 races, no matter how strong they were only one of the top 10 races. In the eyes of the celestial race, they were just ants that could be slaughtered at any time. The strongest existence in the history of the celestial race was actually afraid of the Quasi-Saint tribe. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Xueqi would have found it hard to believe. At the same time, he understood one thing. The Quasi-Saint tribe wasn't simple. They weren't simple at all. He had underestimated the Quasi-Saint tribe in the past. It seems like we have to attack. Xueqi, get ready to activate the Human King's left arm. We need to borrow the strength of the Human King's physical body to tear apart the defense of the Heaven Destroyer.
Yi Wuchang said.
After he finished speaking, his figure had already rushed out. As he rushed out, he had already taken out the Human King's left leg and fused it into his left leg. When he appeared in the sky above the battlefield, he had already activated the power of the Human King's left leg. Boom! Yi Wuxiao took a step forward, and a gigantic foot appeared, stomping towards the exterminating Heaven's troop. Its power was extremely terrifying.
Chapter 46-57. Oh no, that's the power of the Human King's body. I'll stop him. Primordial God, she roared. He also controlled the Human King's right leg, so he could sense Yi Immortal's attack the moment it happened. Without any hesitation, she also fused with the power of the Human King's right leg. With his head down and his leg up, he charged up, activating the power of the Human King's right leg. Similarly, a huge leg appeared and smashed upwards, colliding with Yi Immortal's attack. Boom! An earth-shaking explosion rang out, as if two Origin Realm experts were clashing. Then the two huge legs collapsed at the same time. She and Yi Immortal retreated, one flying upwards and the other falling downwards. This move was a draw. In the next moment, Yi Immortal activated the power of the Human King's left leg and attacked. She countered the attack as well. With Yi Immortal's strength, activating the Human King's left leg could only last for a little more than a breath's time. Hence, he had to end the battle quickly. The speed of the two was extremely shocking. A little more than a breath's time was enough for the two to exchange many moves. Boom, boom, boom. In a little more than a breath's time, the two had exchanged 7 or 8 moves. They were both equally matched. Their battle prowess seems to be about the same after activating the Human King's body. They're both at the Origin Realm. It doesn't seem to have much to do with the cultivation of the person activating it. Lu Ming observed carefully from the crowd. Xi's cultivation was at the 8th layer of the Divine Master Realm, which was clearly higher than his opponent's. However, the two of them were evenly matched. Moreover, the battle prowess he displayed was also at the Origin Realm. It was about the same as Lu Ming's when he activated the Human King's body. It didn't seem to have much to do with one's cultivation. Perhaps it was because the power of the Human King's body was too terrifying, while their strength was too weak. They could only use it as a trigger to activate a portion of the power of the Human King's body. Hence, no matter how strong they were, as long as they activated the Human King's body, the power they could erupt with was at the Origin Realm. The two of them exchanged 7 or 8 moves. Neither of them could do anything to the other. Both of them had almost exhausted all their strength, so they had to stop. Yi Immortal retreated rapidly. And she landed in the Heaven Destroyer. Yi Qiuxian, you do it. Yi Immortal instructed. Then, he took out several divine pills and swallowed them, starting to recover his strength. Leave it to me. Yi Qiuxian stepped forward. The left arm of the Human King fused into his left arm. Break! Yi Qiuxian roared and punched out. The power of the Human King's left arm exploded, and a huge fist blasted towards the Heaven Destroyer. Not good. It's the power of the Human King's physical body again. She roared when he sensed it. Should I make a move? Should I make a move? Lu Ming's mind raced. He was also a little anxious and couldn't decide whether to make a move or not. No one knew that he was in control of the Human King's right arm, and he did not want to expose it. Given his cultivation, there was no way he would be able to protect such a precious item if it was exposed. Even if he could protect it, he would be targeted by the people of the Heavenly Palace. There would definitely be endless pursuit. The Heavenly Palace would definitely spare no effort to snatch the right arm of the Human King from him. His original plan was to silently obtain the torso of the Human King's physical body, or even the other parts of the body, and complete the body. Just as Lu Ming was hesitating, Yi Qiuxian's attack had already landed. Boom! 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 An earth-shattering explosion rang out. Yi Qiuxian had activated the left arm of the human king and erupted with the power of the origin realm. It was too powerful. The layers of defense laid down by the Heaven Destroyer were destroyed one after another. In an instant, more than 200 layers of defense were destroyed. Many of the divine lords defending that area shook violently. Their faces turned pale, and blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. Fortunately, they managed to block it. However, many of them felt extremely heavy. The attack power of the origin realm was too strong. It would break the balance. If the attack continued, it would most likely tear a hole in their defense. On the other hand, if the experts of the Heavenly Palace swarmed in, their defense would be completely torn apart. By then, it would become a chaotic battle. Once a chaotic battle broke out, the Heaven Destroyer's side would be doomed. Break for me! Yi Qiuxian roared and was about to attack again. He could only hold on for a little more than a breath. He could not afford any delay. He had to tear apart the defense of the Heaven Destroyer in one go. He's coming. Block it with all your strength. You must block it. Someone on the Heaven Destroyer's side yelled. Boom! Yi Qiuxian threw another punch with astonishing power. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming soared into the sky. The human king's right arm had fused into his right arm. He had decided to attack in the end. At this moment, there was no other way. If he was exposed, so be it. It was better than having the defense of the Heaven Destroyer torn apart. Once the defense was torn apart, the Heaven Destroyer would be doomed. At the same time, Lu Ming would also be in danger. The people of the Heavenly Palace would definitely target him first. Facing so many experts, no matter how strong he was, only death would await him. The power of the human king's right arm was stimulated. Lu Ming threw a punch. A similarly huge fist was formed and collided with Yi Qiuxian's fist. An earth-shattering roar erupted, and the two of them retreated at the same time. He blocked it. The people on the Heaven Destroyer's side were ecstatic. At the same time, they were a little stunned. They did not expect that there would be someone who could block Yi Qiuxian's attack. Didn't the Heaven Destroyer only have one human king's body? Lu Ming, you actually have a human king's body too. At this moment, Yi Qiuxian roared and continued to attack. The two of them exchanged another blow. It was still a draw. As for the others, they were greatly shocked. It seemed that Lu Ming had really mastered a human king's body. Especially Tang Jun, Mo Chong, and the others who were more familiar with Lu Ming. They looked at each other in dismay. They were already quite familiar with Lu Ming. Along the way, they had already seen through all of Lu Ming's secrets. But now, they realized that they were gravely mistaken. Lu Ming was hiding countless secrets and trump cards. It's the human king's right arm. The four limbs of the human king have appeared, but where is the head? Yi Immortal muttered. He judged that the human king's head should not be on the Heaven Destroyer. If it was not on the Heaven Destroyer, then where was it? Yi Immortal glanced at the young man from the Quasi-Saint race. That young man from the Quasi-Saint race even smiled. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian's speed was very fast. At this moment, they had already exchanged 5 or 6 blows. And more than a breath of time had passed. Not good. I've exhausted my energy. Retreat. Yi Qiuxian was shocked. He circulated his remaining energy and quickly retreated. I still have energy for one more blow. Kill. Lu Ming roared and threw a punch at Yi Qiuxian. Just now, Yi Qiuxian had attacked first. Lu Ming attacked later. Therefore, Lu Ming still had energy for one more blow. A terrifying fist force blasted towards Yi Qiuxian. Yi Qiuxian's pupils shrank rapidly. However, Yi Qiuxian was surrounded by experts from the Heavenly Palace. Immediately, 5 experts at the level of the Lord of Heaven joined forces to block Lu Ming's punch. Chapter 46-58. 5 experts on the same level as the Lord of Heaven appeared in front of Yi Qiuxian and used a defensive secret technique in an attempt to block Lu Ming's attack. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out as a violent shockwave swept out in all directions. The defensive secret technique used by the 5 Lord of Heaven was directly destroyed. The violent shockwave struck the 5 Lord of Heaven. The 5 Lord of Heaven's bodies shook violently as they retreated and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. 3 of them had their arms blown apart and were covered in blood.
The other two who were slightly weaker were even worse off. They were sent flying into the forest far away and broke a dozen trees before crashing into the ground and creating a huge crater. They lay in the crater with pale faces and were unable to move at all. Although the 5 Lord of Heaven level experts were not dead, they were all heavily injured. The difference between a divine master and a reciprocity expert was not small at all.
What a pity! Lu Ming sighed.
After this move, he had used up all the energy in his body and could not continue attacking. If he used another move, he would definitely be able to kill several Lord of Heaven. Lu Ming borrowed the force of his punch and flew into the Heaven Destroyers group to be protected. The 4 limbs of the human king's body have appeared.
Where is the human king's head?
Yi Immortal muttered. At this moment, Yi Immortal's expression suddenly changed. That was because the human king's left leg on his body suddenly shook violently and broke free from his control, flying into the sky.
Stay here!
Yi Immortal roared as he grabbed the air with his hand. A powerful suction force was generated as he tried to grab the human king's left leg. However, it was useless. The human king's left leg shook slightly and broke free from Yi Immortal's power, flying into the sky. At the same time, the same thing happened to the human king's bodies on Lu Ming, Yi Qiuxian, and Shi. They all flew out of their bodies. Lu Ming used his taboo power to stop it, but it was useless. It was the same for Shi and Yi Qiuxian. Even if the experts beside them wanted to help, it was useless. Those peak divine master experts coughed up blood and retreated after being shaken by the human king's physical body. The 4 limbs of the sovereign personage's body all flew into the sky, emitting a dazzling light.
Seal!
Suddenly, a loud roar reverberated throughout the entire area. Everyone couldn't help but look in the direction of the Quasi-Saint tribe. At this moment, more than 300 divine masters of the Quasi-Saint tribe formed an array and shot out rays of light to suppress a stone head. This stone head had flown out from the body of the youth from the Quasi-Saint race. The head of the human king's body. Everyone's heart trembled. So it turns out that the head of the human king's physical body is with the Quasi-Immortal race. Lu Ming, Yi Immortal, and the others couldn't help but think to themselves. At the same time, what shocked them even more was the strength of the Quasi-Immortal race. Only 300 divine masters came from the Quasi-Immortal race. Previously, these 300 divine masters didn't reveal their auras but used a technique to conceal their auras. They hid it so well that even peak divine masters couldn't see through them. Now, in order to stop the human king's head, the Quasi-Immortal race unleashed their full strength and revealed their cultivation. 6th level divine master realm and above. The 300 divine masters of the Quasi-Immortal race were all at the 6th level of the divine master realm and above. Even the weakest among them was at the 6th level of the divine master realm. This caused most of the people present to be shocked to the extreme. The Quasi-Immortal race was ranked first among the top 10 races and had always been ranked first. It wasn't strange for them to have 300 divine masters. However, all 300 divine masters were at the 6th level of the divine master realm and above.
This was terrifying.
This meant that the Quasi-Immortal race had an unimaginable number of divine master experts. Those who came were only a portion of those with higher cultivation. The Quasi-Immortal race actually had such terrifying strength? Especially the people from Heaven Destroyer. Their expressions were even uglier. Fortunately, the Quasi-Immortal race hadn't made a move. If the Quasi-Immortal race had helped the Heavenly Palace attack them, they wouldn't have been able to resist and would have been broken through. Among the people present, only the Yi Immortal looked calm and didn't seem surprised. However, the 300 divine masters of the Quasi-Immortal race joined forces to suppress the human king's head, but it was to no avail. The human king's head shook slightly and broke through the 300 divine masters of the Quasi-Immortal race's blockade. The 300 divine masters turned pale and couldn't help but retreat. The human king's head had already flown high into the sky. The human king's limbs and head seemed to have produced some kind of resonance in the sky and emitted dazzling rays of light. The next moment, the human king's limbs and head flew toward the north at an astonishing speed and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Everyone was dumbfounded, including the Yi Immortal. They obviously hadn't expected this scene.
What's going on?
Chest, what's going on? Why did the human king's body suddenly fly away? Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness condensed in the chaos ring and asked the bronze chest. However, the bronze chest didn't respond. No matter how Lu Ming asked, the bronze chest didn't respond and acted as though it was dead. The Yi Immortal, Yi Qiuxian, Shi, and the youth from the Quasi-Immortal race also asked the bronze chest, but the bronze chest also didn't respond. Let's chase. The youth from the quasi-immortal race shouted and led the quasi-immortal race experts to fly toward the north. Immortal Prince, what should we do? A heavenly human race expert asked the immortal prince. It's strange now. Even if we catch up now, we might not be able to catch up. Let the quasi-immortal race take the lead. You guys continue to attack and kill the rebels. The Yi Immortal ordered. Kill. The experts from the heavenly palace continued to attack. The attacks of more than 8,000 divine masters covered the sky and bombarded the Heaven Destroyer. There were too many of them. Although Lu Ming had severely injured 5 experts of the Lord of Heaven's level with one move, it didn't affect the overall battle situation. The Heaven Destroyer could only defend with all its might and didn't have the strength to fight back. Save me, save me. Suddenly, a cry for help came from not far away. Many people looked in that direction. Over there were 2 experts of the Lord of Heaven's level. They were the 2 people who had been severely injured by Lu Ming. They were lying on the ground and couldn't move at all. They were trying their best to heal their injuries. Unknowingly, a huge tiger had appeared not far away from the 2 of them. This ferocious tiger had 2 long fangs as it stared greedily at the 2 heavenly human tribe heavenly monarchs. Roar! The ferocious tiger let out a long roar and pounced on the 2 heaven monarchs. It opened its bloody mouth and was about to swallow the 2 heaven monarchs. The 2 Lord of Heaven were terrified. They burst out with all their remaining strength and barely blocked the tiger's attack. At the same time, they screamed in horror. Evil beast, you're courting death. The people from the heavenly human race shouted. Dozens of experts from the heavenly human race struck at the tiger. Dozens of beams of light flew towards the ferocious tiger and bombarded its body, causing it to roll away. However, the tiger didn't die. There were only a few wounds on its body and blood kept flowing out. Chapter 46:59. Roar. The tiger seemed to be infuriated after being injured. It stared at the heavenly humans and roared with murderous intent in its eyes. How dare an animal refuse to submit? Kill it. The dozens of heavenly humans attacked again. Dozens of attacks flew toward the tiger again. This time, the tiger learned its lesson. It turned around and ran away. It leaped through the forest at an astonishing speed and disappeared into the depths of the forest in the blink of an eye. That animal ran away quickly. The heavenly humans snorted and continued to attack the Heaven Destroyer. However, before they could make 2 moves, a roar suddenly came from the depths of the forest. The roar was earth-shattering. It pierced through the sky as if it was going to tear the sky apart. Those enormous ancient trees were also trembling non-stop. Some of them even exploded. Rumble! In the next moment, the ground shook violently. It was as if another giant creature was coming from the depths of the forest. Soon, everyone saw clearly that it was indeed a huge monster. It was a ferocious tiger. It was more than 1,000 meters tall. It had 2 fangs in its mouth that were sharper than a sword. Wherever it passed, the giant ancient trees would explode into pieces. Behind it were 2 smaller tigers. One of them had wounds on its body. It was the one that was beaten away by the heavenly humans. Roar! The giant tiger in front of them roared. The terrifying sound waves made many people's faces change drastically. They kept retreating. The tiger's eyes were blood-red. It was filled with murderous intent. It glanced at the Heaven Destroyer and the people from the heavenly palace. Then, it leaped and charged toward the heavenly palace. It waved its claws. A few sharp claws tore through the void and grabbed at the heavenly palace. Block it! The people from the heavenly palace were shocked. The tiger's aura was too terrifying. It was far beyond the almighty realm. It gave them the feeling that they were facing an origin. The people from the heavenly palace stopped attacking the Heaven Destroyer. They changed the direction of all their attacks and blasted at the tiger. The combined attack of more than 8,000 divine masters was unimaginably terrifying. No matter how strong the tiger was, it was impossible for it to contend against more than 8,000 divine masters. The claw light it unleashed was instantly destroyed. Many of the remaining attacks landed on the tiger. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions rang out as the tiger's huge body was sent flying. It rolled on the ground for hundreds of thousands of meters, smashing into countless trees. However, this tiger was actually fine. There was not a single wound on its body. After rolling for some distance, it struggled to get up and shook its head. Then, it let out an angry roar.
Its killing intent was even stronger than before. Roar!
The ferocious tiger roared and charged towards the heavenly palace. It waved its claws and spat out a huge beam of light with terrifying power.
Let's attack together.
A lord of heaven roared. More than 8,000 experts from the heavenly palace attacked together, blocking the tiger's attack and sending it flying.
However, the tiger was still fine. It shook its head and stood up.
There was not a single wound on its body. Even those experts on the level of the Lord of Heaven could not leave a single wound on its body.
Reciprocity. This tiger must be at reciprocity, Jian sighed. Someone roared.
Even if it's at Origin Realm, it can't be completely unscathed from the attacks of so many divine masters.
Someone else roared. Many people's faces were ugly.
Yes, there were more than 8,000 divine masters, and many of them were above the 7th layer of the divine master realm.
There were even quite a few peak divine masters.
With so many experts working together, they could definitely beat a divine master to death.
However, this tiger had forcefully withstood their attacks. What was going on? An ancient remnant. This is a remnant from the ancient continent of the last epoch.
Its body is extremely powerful and its defense is shocking.
It's not something you can break through. Ye Immortal's voice rang out. An ancient remnant.
Everyone was shocked. Could it be that this ferocious tiger had lived from the previous era until now? An existence at Origin Realm had the same lifespan as the universe. As long as the universe was not destroyed, it would not die. It was normal for it to have lived from the last epoch until now.
Let's retreat. Heaven Destroyer would not miss such an opportunity.
Now that the people from the Heavenly Palace had no time to deal with them, it was a good opportunity to retreat. More than 5,000 people from Heaven Destroyer gathered together and retreated. Even if the people from the Heavenly Palace wanted to pursue them, they could not.
The tiger was attacking them again.
The people from the Heavenly Palace could only focus on dealing with the tiger. The tiger's attack power was about the same as an ordinary Origin Realm expert, but its defense was too strong.
Its skin was thick, and its bones were extremely tough.
So many attacks landed on it, but they could not break through its defense.
In the end, Ye Immortal had no choice but to give the order to retreat.
The 8,000 divine lords from the Heavenly Palace attacked as they retreated. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the area. After the people from Heaven Destroyer left the Heavenly Palace's line of sight, they sped up and flew to the west. After flying a certain distance, they flew to the north. After all, the body of the human king was flying to the north. They speculated that the torso of the human king was very likely to be in the north. The 4 limbs and head of the human king had sensed the torso of the human king and flown to the north. Only by flying to the north could they find the body of the human king.
However, they did not fly at high altitudes. Instead, they landed in the forest and quickly moved through it.
The appearance of the ferocious tiger just now reminded them that this continent was very likely inhabited by species left behind from the previous era.
The ancient continent of the last epoch was mysterious to them.
They did not know how powerful the creatures of that era were, but they could tell from the tiger that there were definitely existences at Origin Realm.
They did not dare to be careless. Flying at high altitudes made it very easy for them to be targeted.
If a few Origin Realm primordial descendants came, they would probably be wiped out. However, even though they moved through the forest, they still encountered attacks before long.
Several huge pythons appeared.
They were completely azure, each several hundred meters long and over a dozen meters wide. They coiled around several large trees and lunged at Lu Ming's group. Fortunately, these pythons were not too powerful. They only seemed to be at the 8th or 9th layer of the Divine Lord realm. Their attacks were not very powerful. However, their defenses were shockingly strong. Not even 9th layer Divine Lord experts could break through the defenses of these pythons. In the end, several peak Divine Lord experts had to use their origin energy to kill these pythons. After killing the pythons, the peak Divine Lord experts did not waste any of their energy. They stowed away the pythons' corpses. These pythons were primordial descendants. Their defenses were just too monstrous. Using their skin to refine leather armor was extremely shocking. This made many people's eyes light up. Ignoring everything else, these primordial descendants were treasures on this continent. Their entire bodies were treasures. If they could kill the tiger from before and use its skin to refine leather armor, probably even Origin Realm experts would struggle to break through its defenses. Unfortunately, it was just too difficult to kill.
Chapter 4660. The group continued to head north. In a few hours, they encountered several waves of attacks. The strongest one was at the peak of the Divine Master Realm. It had a powerful physical body, and its defense was terrifying. It rampaged and killed several Divine Master Realm fighters. In the end, it took several Peak Almighty experts working together, and one Peak Almighty expert even took out an Origin-level divine weapon to finally kill this Peak Almighty being. This caused everyone's hearts to feel heavy. It was too difficult to kill these surviving creatures of the untainted land. If there were more of them, it would be difficult to deal with them. The group rested for a while and continued forward. Some Peak Divine Master Realm experts arranged for some people to scatter around and search for traces of the surviving creatures of the untainted land. If they found a particularly strong one or a large group of them, they would immediately take a detour. Half a day later, suddenly, enemy attack, a loud roar came from the forest ahead. Then, there was a violent explosion. Sword chi and blade radiance burst out and a great battle broke out. Everyone's muscles tensed up. They looked around and prepared for a great battle. Whoosh, whoosh. The scattered god lords quickly retreating from the ground to where the main force was. What's going on? The primordial divine spirit, Lion, asked. There are surviving creatures of the untainted land. There are many of them, someone yelled. Why did you only find out now? Lion roared. They're too cunning and fast. They can hide in the trees and it's hard to find them. You have to be careful. They might have already approached, someone replied. The next moment, Lu Ming felt goosebumps all over his body, as if something terrifying was staring at him. Roar, roar. Immediately, there were sounds coming from all directions. This sound was almost like a wolf's howl. Then, Lu Ming and the others found that many giant green wolves appeared on the giant trees around them. Each of these giant wolves was 10 meters tall. They were huge and their bodies were green, similar to the color of the giant trees. They could easily blend into the giant trees. There were at least a few hundred of them. They stood on the branches of those huge trees, glaring at Lu Ming and the group like tigers eyeing their prey. Many people's hair stood on end. They had been discovered by so many surviving creatures of the untainted land so close. Defend, defend, the lion roared. Roar. With a long howl, hundreds of giant green wolves charged towards the Heaven Destroyer. Attack. Lion roared and took the initiative to attack. The other members of the Sky Exterminating Troop also attacked together. More than 5,000 attacks blasted out in all directions, bombarding the giant green wolves. Many of the giant green wolves were sent flying, but they shook their heads and stood up, completely fine. Only a few giant green wolves had been killed, and they had all been killed by a Peak Divine Master. His defensive power was shockingly strong. Ow, ow, ow. The giant wolf howled and continued to charge towards the Heaven Destroyer. These giant green wolves had varying levels of combat power. The weaker ones were at the 3rd level of the Divine Master Realm, while the stronger ones were at the peak of the Divine Master Realm. It was especially so for those giant wolves at the peak of the Almighty level. They were too strong, and they relied on their powerful defenses to attack the Heaven Destroyer in a frenzy. The only way to force the Heaven Destroyer to defend with all its might was to defend it as it had done against the Heavenly Palace. However, these giant wolves were not like the ones in the Heavenly Palace. These giant wolves relied on their defensive power to attack crazily. After charging for a while, hundreds of giant wolves suddenly charged out from under the ground, charging out from under the feet of Lu Ming and the others. This time they were caught off guard. Dozens of divine masters were torn apart by the giant green wolves and became food in their stomachs. Moreover, the defense of the Heaven Destroyer was completely torn apart. It turned into a chaotic battle. Roar! A giant green wolf at the 5th level of the Divine Master Realm roared and charged towards Lu Ming. It was more than 10 meters tall, and it was like a small mountain pressing down on Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted softly, and the God of War spear shot out like a bolt of lightning. Puff! The God of War spear pierced through the giant wolf's neck, piercing through it. A one-shot kill. Lu Ming pulled out the God of War spear and charged at another giant wolf. The God of War spear was a top-notch source-level divine weapon, and its tip was incomparably sharp. Back then, the God of War spear had pierced through Yi Chu Tianji's source-level divine armor. From this, one could see just how sharp the God of War spear was. Although these giant green wolves had astonishing defensive power, they could not block the sharpness of the God of War spear. Puff!
Another giant green wolf at the 6th level of the Divine Master Realm was killed by Lu Ming's spear. Lu Ming held the God of Combat spear in his hand and went on a rampage. Every spear strike could kill a huge green wolf. In less than a minute, 6 giant green wolves had been killed by Lu Ming. However, the others did not have the same results as Lu Ming. They could not break through the defenses of the giant green wolves so easily. Over 500 giant green wolves were crazily attacking, and Heaven Destroyer's side had already suffered more than 100 casualties. The giant wolves at the peak of the Divine Master Realm were especially powerful. A single peak Divine Master on Heaven Destroyer's side could not stop a single giant green wolf. At least 2 peak Divine Masters were needed to stop the giant green wolves. There were even fewer people who could kill the giant green wolves. There were only a few of them. These peak Divine Lord existences all possessed Source-level divine weapons. Only Source-level divine weapons could kill those peak Divine Lord giant wolves. However, there were too few people who could control Source-level divine weapons. One must know that even among the Origin Realm experts, more than half of them did not have Source-level divine weapons. Those who possessed Source-level divine weapons at the Divine Master Realm were all people with great luck who had found them in the ruins of the universe. Should I lend out a few? Lu Ming's mind rapidly turned. He had quite a few divine weapons on him. If he could lend them to the peak Divine Masters, they would definitely be able to increase their battle prowess. Just as Lu Ming was about to move, a gust of wind blew over. A giant green wolf knocked away a Heaven Destroyer expert and charged at Lu Ming with murderous intent. It was abnormally fast, and its claws were even sharper than divine blades as it swiped at Lu Ming's head. Unable to dodge in time, Lu Ming swung the War God spear and swept it out. With a clang, the War God spear collided with the giant green wolf's claws, erupting with a violent boom. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he involuntarily retreated. A giant wolf at the 9th layer of the Divine Master Realm. Lu Ming's heart sank. Clearly, the 6 giant green wolves he had just killed had attracted the attention of a powerful giant wolf. The one that had attacked Lu Ming just now was a giant wolf at the 9th layer of the Divine Master Realm. Oh well! That giant wolf roared and pounced on Lu Ming. Its huge claws scratched at Lu Ming, emitting an ear-piercing sound of something breaking through the air. Lu Ming could only use his full strength against a giant wolf at the 9th layer of the Divine Master Realm. He did not have the energy to send out another Source-level divine weapon. Thish! The War God's spear turned into a bolt of lightning as it stabbed toward the giant wolf's forehead, but it was blocked by the giant wolf's claws. Lu Ming's arm went numb from the impact, and he retreated several steps. Chapter 46-61. What powerful strength! Lu Ming felt his arm go numb and his blood churn. This giant azure wolf was shockingly strong, not at all weaker than a heavenly human of the same level. In truth, these primordial remnant beasts were all very strong, not weaker than a heavenly human of the same level. Previously, he felt that these primordial remnant beasts were not particularly strong, mainly because their defenses were so strong that he had neglected their strength. Being on par with a heavenly human of the same level was already standing at the apex of the primordial universe. In a head-on clash, the 9th level Divine Lord Azure Wolf could already suppress Lu Ming. Roar! The giant green wolf roared, spewing out heat waves from its mouth. With a leap, it continued to charge toward Lu Ming. Swish! 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 Lu Ming brandished the War God spear, thrusting out spear light as he fought with the giant wolf. Lu Ming now had fewer trump cards. Without his greatest trump card, the Human King right arm, he only had Origin Energy. However, he only had one move of Origin Energy. Although it was powerful, he could not use it carelessly. Lu Ming had to find the right opportunity to use it in order to kill in one blow. Oh well! Oh well! Not far away, wolf howls could be heard as the attacks of the giant azure wolves became even more intense. Relying on their powerful defenses, they constantly pounced. Although Heaven Destroyer had 10 times the number of people compared to the giant azure wolves, there were not many experts who could kill the giant azure wolves. One had to be at least 2 levels higher than the giant azure wolves to be able to break through their defenses. This made it very difficult to kill the giant azure wolves above the 8th level of the God Lord realm. That one in the distance is the Wolf King. The wolf pack is usually under the control of the Wolf King. Only by killing the Wolf King can we force back the pack of wolves. The primordial divine spirit, lion, roared. Many people also saw a giant azure wolf standing on a branch of a giant tree not far away. This giant green wolf was entirely green, and its green fur seemed to be dancing with green flames. This giant wolf was clearly the Wolf King. Every time it roared, the giant wolves would madly attack. "I'll go kill him. Count me in." Immediately, 3 figures broke through the encirclement and charged toward the Wolf King. These 3 figures were all peak divine masters. Roar! The Wolf King wasn't afraid at all. It faced the 3 experts head-on. Its sharp claws clawed continuously, blocking the attacks of the 3 experts. The 3 masters exchanged more than 10 moves with the Wolf King, but there was no clear victor. This Wolf King's strength was astonishing. Although it hadn't reached the origin level, its battle prowess was much stronger than the other giant wolves at the peak of the almighty level. To kill the Wolf King, we need a source-grade weapon. Tian Xian, come with me. The lion roared as its body swelled up rapidly. It grew to a height of 1,000 feet as it charged at the Wolf King. Another expert of the 5th level of the Divine Master Realm attacked the Wolf King together with Lion. Both of them were in control of soul-level divine weapons, so their battle prowess was stronger than the other peak divine masters. With the addition of 2 peak divine masters who wielded soul-grade divine weapons, they instantly had the upper hand. After a few moves, Lion struck the giant wolf with his soul-grade divine weapon, leaving a huge wound on the giant wolf's body. With the support of a peak divine master, the soul-grade divine weapon was enough to break through the giant wolf's defense. Peak divine masters had also condensed origin seeds. They had much more origin power than Lu Ming. When they activated their soul-grade divine weapons, their might was astonishing. Howl howl. The Wolf King was injured. It immediately roared and tried to summon the other giant wolves to help it. Hold them back. The members of Heaven Destroyer roared furiously. They outnumbered the giant wolves by 10 times. Although many of them couldn't break through the giant wolves' defense, they could still hold them back. They could even send the giant wolves tumbling out of their encirclement. Thousands of attacks rained down on the giant wolves. Although they didn't deal much damage, the giant wolves could forget about escaping. The 5 peak divine masters attacked with all their might. 3 without soul-grade divine weapons held the Wolf King back, while 2 with soul-grade divine weapons attacked. After a dozen moves, Lion finally seized the opportunity and cut off the Wolf King's head. Howl howl howl. With the death of the Wolf King, the other giant Saiyan wolves were in a mess. They howled and attacked randomly. After being beaten back a few times by the Heaven Exterminating Troop, the giant Saiyan wolves retreated and disappeared without a trace. Phew, phew. Many people heaved a sigh of relief. The primeval surviving species weren't easy to deal with. If they hadn't killed the Wolf King, they would have suffered greater losses. Even so, more than 50 divine masters had been killed in the previous wave. They were divine masters. Even if all the divine masters in the Heaven Exterminating Army were added together, including those who were busy or in seclusion, there would not be more than 6,000 of them. It was a huge loss for so many to die in one go. Everyone, I think we should split up. A peak-level divine master expert shouted. The others nodded. They all understood the same thing. If all 5,000 of them moved together, they would be too big of a target. They could easily attract the primeval surviving species. Only by splitting up would they be less of a target. They could move more nimbly and easily avoid the primeval surviving species. I suggest we split into small groups. Each group has no more than 10 people. We'll move separately and avoid the primeval surviving species. We'll head north and meet up at a certain location, Lion said. If they split up, even if they ran into powerful and invincible primeval surviving species, they would only lose a dozen people at most. However, if they moved together and ran into a large group of primeval surviving species, such as the wolf pack from before, and a few Origin Realm primeval surviving species, they would be in danger of being wiped out. All right, I agree. I agree too. The others nodded. However, our main objective is to obtain the Human King's body. It's related to the outcome of the battle between us and the Heavenly Palace. It's of utmost importance. We can't afford to lose it. Lu Ming and she can control the Human King's body. They might play a key role in the end. I suggest we split up and have some top experts follow them to protect them. What do you think? Lion continued. I have no objections. I have no objections either. The others nodded. Although it was much safer to follow experts, the others knew that the Human King's body was the key. If the Heavenly Palace obtained the complete Human King's body, the Heaven Destroyer would be destroyed.
Lu Ming and Xi were indeed key figures. It was only right that they were given special protection. Lu Ming naturally had no objections. The others immediately split into groups. Most of them were in groups of 8 or 9. After that, they flew towards the north and disappeared into the vast forest. Usually, there would be at least one expert at the 7th layer of the Divine Master Realm in each group.
Chapter 4662. Lu Ming's group, including Lu Ming, had a total of 9 people. The other 8 were all peak God Lord experts. 2 of them even possessed soul-grade divine weapons. Lion was one of them. There were also 8 peak God Lord experts by Xi's side. 2 of them also possessed soul-grade divine weapons. In addition, there were many experts in Tang Jun's group as well. Tang Jun was Tang Feng's daughter, so they would naturally protect her. Lu Ming, take care. We'll meet up in the north. Tang Jun came to bid farewell to Lu Ming. You too. Lu Ming smiled. Afterward, Tang Jun followed her group and disappeared into the forest. Lu Ming, let's go as well, Lion said. Lu Ming nodded. Their group also set off. They first headed west for a while, then headed north. This forest was vast and boundless. They had around 5,000 people, and they were split into over 500 small groups. They were scattered in the vast forest, like a small stone thrown into the sea, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. While they were moving forward, Lion and the other 7 experts secretly protected Lu Ming in the middle. Among them, the 2 fastest experts were scouting ahead. Once they discovered a powerful surviving species of the untainted land ahead, they would take a detour. Lu Ming was also happy to relax. With fewer people, their movements were much more nimble than before. Their speed had also increased by many times. They constantly flashed through the forest, leaving large areas behind them. Along the way, they would encounter primitive surviving species every once in a while. There were strong and weak primitive surviving species. The weak ones were equivalent to divine lords or divine emperors, while the stronger ones were divine lords. In just 3 days, Lu Ming's group had encountered over 100 divine lord primitive surviving species. As a matter of fact, they even came across 2 reciprocity primordial species, but they avoided them beforehand and took a detour. Primordial species at reciprocity all had their own territories. As long as they did not set foot in another's territory and took a detour, they would not pursue them. Along the way, Lu Ming and the others were secretly shocked. There were simply too many powerful great desolate remnant beasts on this continent. Just by traveling in a single direction, the 9 of them came across over 100 divine lord primordial species and 2 reciprocity primordial species. Coupled with the huge azure wolves they had encountered before, there were over 600 divine lord primordial species. This was definitely only a part of the continent. The number of remnant species at the Divine Master Realm on this continent was absolutely shocking. Adding them all together, they might have more divine masters than the entire primitive universe. This was too shocking. Anyone who could control the Great Desolate Remnant here would be able to dominate the Great Desolate Universe. It was just a continent, yet there were so many powerful Great Desolate Remnant species. Then, how many experts were there in the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch? Divine Masters were everywhere, and Origin were as numerous as dogs? That's not right. According to the records excavated from the ruins of the universe, even the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch did not have so many experts. It's impossible for Divine Masters to be everywhere. Lion shook his head. There were definitely many Divine Masters on the Great Desolate Continent. It was probably incalculable. However, they had only traveled for 3 days. As they had to be wary of powerful Great Desolate Remnant species, they did not move very quickly, nor did they travel very far. There were over 100 Divine Lord primordial species in this short distance. The density was just far too great. It had to be mentioned that the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch was shockingly vast. All the fragments of continents in the ruins of the universe and all the planets in the primitive universe were added together. Although this continent was vast, it was not as large as the 1,000-year battlefield. It was only a drop in the ocean compared to the complete Great Desolate Continent. Just how many experts were there in the Great Desolate Continent? This clearly did not match the records of the ancient records. Clearly, this continent is extraordinary. That's why it can give birth to so many powerful Great Desolate Remnant species in such a small area. Another peak Divine Master expert said. This made everyone's hearts even heavier. The more extraordinary this continent was, the more powerful the great desolate remnant species would be, and the greater the pressure on them. There was even more uncertainty about the competition for the human king's body later. Later on, they would not only have to face the experts of the Heavenly Palace and Quasi-Saint tribe, but they might also have to face powerful great desolate remnant species. This trip would probably be full of difficulties and dangers. Be careful. Suddenly, the voice of an expert who was scouting ahead rang in the ears of Lu Ming and the others. It was transmitted through telepathy and was full of solemnity. The hearts of Lu Ming and the others thumped. They immediately held their breaths and restrained their auras. Look ahead. A profound voice pointed ahead. There were about a dozen mountain peaks in front of them. They were extremely huge and very tall, extending all the way to the sky. The tallest mountain peak was at least 1,000,000 feet tall. However, this was not the most shocking thing. The most shocking thing was that there was a giant snake coiled around this mountain peak. The giant snake began to spiral from the bottom of the mountain and continued upward, wrapping itself around the highest peak of the mountain. Terrifying. It was a terrifying giant snake. Even though it was very far away, the aura emitted by this giant snake was still terrifying. Origin Realm. This giant snake was definitely an existence of the Origin Realm. It was extremely powerful. Ka! At this moment, a sharp cry rang out in the sky. The clouds were torn apart and another huge creature appeared. It was a huge white bird. Its entire body was snow-white and covered in snow-white feathers. It was extremely huge, and when it spread its wings, it blotted out the sky. The huge bird swooped down and its two huge claws grabbed at the giant snake. The giant snake was not to be outdone. With a sharp cry, its huge body shot out like a spring and engaged in a great battle with the huge bird. Boom! 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 Destructive energy swept out in all directions. The earth shook and ancient trees exploded. It was like the end of the world. Lu Ming and the others could not help but swallow their saliva. Two Origin Realm great desolate remnant species were fighting. This continent was really dangerous. Let's go. Lion transmitted. They did not dare to stay for long. They hurriedly made a detour and traveled in a different direction. Only when they could no longer hear the disturbance behind them did they let out a sigh of relief. The huge bird and snake from before were definitely not regular Origin Realm beings. They were even more powerful than regular Origin Realm beings. If they had been sucked in, they would have been done for. Fortunately, they had split up and scattered. If they had moved together with all 5,000 of them, they definitely would have been discovered and the situation would have been dire. They continued north. Although they came across a few great desolate remnant species in the next 2 days, they did not encounter any danger. Look, what's that? Suddenly, someone whispered. There was a sliver of excitement in his voice. Not far in front of them was a huge cliff. On a protruding rock on the cliff, they saw a strange little tree. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.